Chapter 742. Beating the dog depends on the owner. The whole plan was made in advance and decided by Liang Yu and Feng He after discussion. So Liang Yu and Feng He would be the ones to take the blame. Feng He, in particular, did not investigate the background of the owner of the manor and directly chose to take action here. But maybe he did not have enough time, so he did not care so much. But even if Feng He investigated, he would not know Boss Tang's specific identity. How could some things be so easy? No one would have thought that the key factor that affected the whole plan was that the weather was too hot tonight. Bao Fan was the kind of person who was afraid of heat. Because of a strange combination of factors, he met them when he woke up, which led to the series of things that happened later. After struggling for nearly half an hour, they found nothing. How could they not be angry? But no matter how angry they were, they could not fight against reality. Did they really have to go to jail in order to complete the task? At that time, they would be involved in a lot of things. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only retreat at this time. After Liang Yu said retreat, Huang Jin and Zhao Junhai left without hesitation. In this kind of matter, they had a tacit understanding more than anyone else. No one was willing to wait here foolishly to be caught. Not long after Liang Yu, Huang Jin, Zhao Junhai, and the others retreated, the police and the manor's security found this place. But Bao Fan had already floated away along the river. Chang Baji led some people to the manor first. After greeting the police, he joined the search team. He did not go in to see Boss Tang. Now, finding Bao Fan was the most important thing. Inside the manor, the lights were bright at this time. The power had long been connected. In order to prevent any accidents, the manor had sent more security guards to patrol. At this moment, Boss Tang was sitting in the living room, angry. He had never been provoked like this before. They really had no respect for the law, and they did not take him seriously at all. However, at this time, Boss Tang still controlled his temper. Except for a few trusted subordinates who came here, there was a branch leader in charge of this place. He heard that not only did he make a call, but there were also other people who called. Boss Tang did not think much of it. He guessed that was Bao Fan's relatives or friends. After all, Bao Fan's power was not to be underestimated. At 4:30 a.m., Boss Tang, who had been waiting for the news, was already sleepy. The person in charge of the manor told him that a young man called Qin Sheng, who called himself Bao Fan's friend. Upon hearing the surname Qin, Boss Tang immediately knew who Bao Fan was. Others might not know the specific identity of Bao Fan, but how could he not know? Bao Fan was the spokesperson of the Qin family in Qin Chang'an in Shanghai. Moreover, the name Qin Sheng sounded very familiar. Boss Tang did not have much contact with Qin Chang'an. Qin Sheng was not the Qin family. He could not become Bao Fan's good friend because he was Bao's best friend in Beijing. They had known each other's good friend, Qin Fan's best friend. He family Qin Fan on Qin's good friend. Boss Tang did not refuse. He asked the person in charge of the manor to lead Qin Sheng to the side hall directly. It did not occur to him that he would meet Qin Sheng in this way. It was kind of interesting, wasn't it? However, he was somewhat curious that this young man was still in Shanghai when the Qin family was in such a mess. Shouldn't he be helping Qin Chang'an in Beijing at this time? Boss Tang, who was wearing only a pair of shorts and a short-sleeved shirt, walked into the side hall and saw Qin Sheng, who was standing there motionlessly. Qin Sheng looked at Qin Sheng casually, but he did have an extraordinary temperament. He was not as bad as the rumors said. Qin Sheng saw Boss Tang. He walked over quickly and shook hands with him. "Uncle Tang, sorry to trouble you tonight." Anyway, Qin Sheng was very humble, which made Boss Tang feel embarrassed. He frowned and said, "Qin Sheng, you can't say that. I invited Bao Fan to drink with me tonight. I'm sorry for him and the Qin family." Qin Sheng said indignantly, "Uncle Tang, you're being too serious. I can only say that the other party is too unscrupulous. How dare they fight in Uncle Tang's place? We'll definitely settle accounts with them later. But now the most important thing is to find Uncle Bao." Boss Tang patted Qin Sheng's shoulder and said, "You are right. Finding Bao Fan is more important than anything else. I hope he is safe. As for who is behind this, even if you don't get even with them, I will definitely get to the bottom of it. Otherwise, I can't afford to lose my face. You are right, Uncle Tang. How is the situation now? Qin Sheng sat down with Boss Tang and asked earnestly. He did not deliberately exchange greetings with Boss Tang, but there was no sense of estrangement. Maybe he had no time to care about that. Boss Tang explained honestly, we have sent a lot of people to search nearby. I think you have also sent a lot of people. Together with the human resources of the police, it should not take long to find clues. Unfortunately, the surveillance lines of the manor have been destroyed. Otherwise, we can find some clues. Now we can only hope for the police. Qin Sheng's mood became heavy in an instant. The longer it took, the higher the probability of something going wrong. Qin Sheng really did not want to see the worst result. If Bao Fan was really in trouble, it would be a heavy blow and loss for him. I hope Uncle Bao is fine, Qin Sheng said lightly. Boss Tang had only two things in his mind at the moment. First, he also hoped that Bao Fan was fine. It would be better to find Bao Fan as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would feel guilty. Second, he must find the mastermind behind the scenes. Otherwise, he would lose face and be treated as a joke in the future. Qin Sheng, let's get straight to the point. I have known Lao Bao for many years. I also know that he is working for the Qin family. Do you know who wants to kill him this time? Boss Tang squinted and asked. His meaning was very clear. If you know, the scope of my target would be narrowed down. I don't need to look for a needle in a haystack anymore. Qin Sheng let out a long sigh and said, Uncle Tang, you are also from a big family in Beijing. You should have heard about the things that happened to our family. There are many people who want to hit us when we are down. This time, it may be these people who want to kill Uncle Bao. You mean the people in Beijing? Boss Tang frowned and said, if that was the case, it would be a bit troublesome, especially when he encountered those who had a stronger background than him. He did not dare to offend them easily. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Every family had its ups and downs. Boss Tang just did not seize the opportunity. Qin Sheng continued, the real mastermind behind the scenes may be in Beijing, but the ones working in Shanghai should be our old rivals, the Yin family and Third Master Wu. Boss Tang asked doubtfully, I know the Yin family in Shanghai. Isn't Third Master Wu from Zhejiang? Why is he in Shanghai? It seemed that Boss Tang and Bao Fan had a good relationship. It was obvious that they were going to stand up for Bao Fan. Qin Sheng did not feel very happy about it. What he was most worried about now was Bao Fan's safety. As long as he was fine, everything would be fine. Qin Sheng explained thoughtfully, Uncle Tang, since you know the Yin family in Shanghai, I won't say anything more. Third Master Wu was originally from Zhejiang. In order to deal with the Qin family and me, he cozied up to the people in Beijing. Now he has joined forces with the Yin family. The condition is that he can develop in Shanghai. So that's what happened. I finally understand. Boss Tang said meaningfully. So who did they cozy up to? The Shui family and the Gu family. Qin Sheng blurted out. Boss Tang seemed to be relieved after hearing that. He sneered and said, it turns out to be the Shui family and the Gu family. I thought they were very powerful. After all, you have to look at the owner before you beat a dog. If it is a big shot with a background that even I have to stay away from, I can only bear with it. But if it is only the Shui family and the Gu family, I am really not afraid of anything. If they dare to act wildly in my place, I will let them pay the price. Qin Sheng did not say anything more. This was Boss Tang's own business. Even if Boss Tang did not make trouble for them, they would pay for it. Time went by. After 5 o'clock in the morning, the difficulty of the search was reduced a lot. Finally, they got the news about Bao Fan. They found Bao Fan, who had fainted due to exhaustion, on the shore not far from the river. It seemed that he was fine except for some superficial wounds, but no one dared to guarantee anything. They just sent Bao Fan to the hospital at the first instance. After getting the news, Qin Sheng and Chang Baji rushed to the hospital directly. After waiting for half an hour, they heard from the doctor that Bao Fan was fine. He was just exhausted and would be fine after a short rest. As for the superficial wounds, it was not a big deal. After hearing the news, Qin Sheng finally breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, he called Boss Tang to let him not worry about it anymore. He told Chang Baji to contact him by phone after Bao Fan woke up. They could talk about the rest later. He had to rush back to the company now. After all, Wang Chengshui and the others had not left Shanghai yet. Today was the last day. If he was whipped by Wang Chengshui and criticized endlessly, Qin Sheng would definitely lose more than he gained. Liang Yu led Huang Jin, Zhao Junhai, and the others to retreat with great difficulty. But what awaited them was a torrent of abuse from Feng He. Feng He had thought that nothing would go wrong, but he did not expect the result to surprise him. He had sent out such a luxurious lineup. It was really disappointing. Feng He was so angry that he shouted, "A group of useless people. You can't even deal with Bao Fan. What the hell can you do? What kind of master are you?" He did not know how to explain it to Young Master. Young Master also did not know how to explain it to those people. It did not matter if Feng He scolded Huang Jin and Zhao Junhai. They were the people he sent. But Liang Yu did not fall for it. She directly said angrily, "Who do you think you are? How dare you scold me?" At this time, Feng He was not in the mood to have tender feelings for the fairer sex. He said angrily, "Bitch, you really think you are somebody? I know that third master Wu sent you here. You can't do anything. Why are you not convinced? Beat me." Liang Yu was so angry that she rushed up without hesitation. She wanted to fight with Feng He. Fortunately, she was stopped by others, so she did not really fight with Feng He. Genius 1 second to remember this website. Midnight Reading Mobile version URL. Chapter 743. Don't let yourself be sorry. Zhao Junhai's expression was gloomy. Being scolded by a young man in such a manner, how could he not be angry? Moreover, this time, it was their intelligence that caused the flaw in the final plan. What did it have to do with him? Zhao Junhai naturally forgot about his fight with Bao Fan. In the end, Bao Fan escaped from his hands. If he had met Huang Jin, they probably wouldn't have met again. However, Zhao Junhai didn't have any temper. After all, the other party was the sugar daddy. Even if he didn't succeed, it wouldn't hurt to be scolded by the sugar daddy. After all, he still had to rely on the sugar daddy to earn money in the end. Huang Jin still did not say a word. He was like an old monk in meditation, silent and taciturn. He could let Feng He scold him all he wanted. Anyway, he would not hurt a single hair on his head. If he did not complete it, then he did not complete it. There was no reason for him to explain anything. Liang Yu was almost driven mad by Feng He. In the end, if someone hadn't stopped her, she would have fought with Feng He. She had always been unhappy with Feng He. If it weren't for the accident on her foster father's side, she wouldn't have been asked to do this. She wouldn't want to cooperate with Feng He even if she was beaten to death. In the end, Liang Yu left the place directly. She was too lazy to explain anything to Feng He. Moreover, she had to go back and report to her adoptive father about what had happened tonight. After Liang Yu left, Feng He was still having a headache. Young Master hadn't woken up yet. When Young Master woke up, he would naturally tell him the result. At that time, he would definitely be scolded. At this moment, Huang Jin stood up and said thoughtfully, "If you're not worried, leave this matter to me alone. Give me a week's time, and I'll look for an opportunity myself. If there's no opportunity within a week, I'll give up." At this point, Feng He had no other choice but to make every possible effort. He said casually, all right, since you're so confident, I'll leave it to you. I hope you won't let me down this time. It's not that easy to earn the Yin family's money." Huang Jin nodded silently and left. After resting for a day, he would start tracking Bao Fan for 20 hours. He didn't believe that there wouldn't be a chance. As long as he found the opportunity, killing someone would only take a few minutes. When Yin Xiaozong woke up, Feng He told him about the result of last night. Yin Xiaozong was not very angry. He was just a little disappointed. Moreover, Feng He shifted the blame to Third Master Wu. He said that Third Master Wu had only sent a woman and the others did not have any strength at all. At the same time, Feng He also said that he would send Huang Jin to act alone. There was no doubt about Huang Jin's strength, and he was also a sly old fox. There was no guarantee that he would succeed. Yin Xiaozong did not have much hope for this. He would explain it to Xue Ku and Gu Yoning later. At that time, they could discuss other countermeasures. He believed that they would understand. Moreover, Third Master Wu was there to support them. Chang Baji was taking care of Bao Fan in the hospital. Qin Sheng returned to the company before 9 o'clock. He just needed to hold on until this morning. In the afternoon, Wang Chengshui would go to Shenzhen with his team. Qin Sheng would be completely free. Next, he just needed to wait for the news from Beijing. The morning passed just like this. The rhythm was similar to yesterday's afternoon. The two sides started a fierce confrontation in all aspects. It was a fleeting look, but it was just like a play. Qin Sheng was very relaxed today. He cooperated with Wang Chengshui's acting until noon. Qin Sheng said politely, "Vice President Wang, I will send you to the airport in person later. You have worked hard these 2 days." However, his tone was a little strange. Wang Chengshui said coldly, "Chairman Qin, there is no need for this. How can I dare to trouble you? You are so busy, and we still need you to do your best in Shanghai. As for the inspection results of these 2 days, I will report to the board of directors face to face later. I hope you'll be mentally prepared." This was Wang Chengshui's naked counterattack, threat, and revenge against Qin Sheng. No matter how Qin Sheng had treated him in the past 2 days, including his rejection of his good intentions yesterday, even if he did not take me seriously, would he dare to not take the board of directors seriously? Qin Sheng did not mean it. He said happily, "Vice President Wang, I have already prepared for it. I hope you can put in a few good words for me at the board of directors." The confrontation between the two sides was limited to words. No one could gain the upper hand. Wang Chengshui snorted coldly and left directly with his team. Qin Sheng did not forget to say behind him, "Vice President Wang, have a safe trip. If you have nothing to do, come to our Shanghai for inspection. Next time, I will welcome you." The others could not help but cover their mouths. They were afraid to laugh out loud. Qin Sheng was venting the grievances of these 2 days. Obviously, he was teasing Wang Chengshui. However, the others felt quite happy when they heard it. These 2 days, everyone hated Wang Chengshui so much. After Wang Chengshui got into the elevator and left, Qin Sheng let out a long sigh and said, "Finally, this god of plague is gone. It is really tiring to deal with him." Zhong Shan said casually, "He did not get any advantage in Shanghai. I don't know how he will say bad things about you at the board of directors. You really have to be prepared in advance. The group of people at the board of directors is not simple." Qin Sheng shook his head and sighed bitterly as he said, "Different situations call for different actions. What else can I do? I can't fly to Beijing right now and visit them one by one to explain. They may not even see me or listen to me. Anyway, the result was there, and he did not care." Zhongshan smiled bitterly and said, "You are right. Let's finish the things in Shanghai first. What will come eventually." After that, Zhongshan ordered the people behind him to continue working. This episode was finally over, but their reorganization work had to continue. After Qin Sheng returned to the office, he found that Yin Pan was secretly wiping her tears. Qin Sheng was a little surprised and said, Hey, what's wrong? Are you secretly worried about me? Everything is fine now, isn't it?" When Yin Pan heard this, her tears turned into laughter. She rolled her eyes at Qin Sheng. Most of the time, they were like friends, not superiors and subordinates. However, Yin Pan would also pay attention to the occasion when it was necessary to pay attention to it. "Tell me what's wrong." Qin Sheng frowned and said. What he said was naturally just a joke. He would not really think that Yin Pan was really worried about him. Yin Pan wiped her tears, took a deep breath, and said, "I broke up with him. From today on, I will return to living alone. I am really happy." Really happy? Then how could she shed tears? Was she crying tears of joy? No one would believe such foolish words. Yin Pan was deceiving herself and others. Qin Sheng did not expect this. He said with concern, "Aren't you engaged? Why do you want to break up? Who suggested it? You or him? It seems more likely that he did." Yin Pan nodded with a smile and said, "Yes, he did. He said that I only have work in my heart and not him. I said that I go back to Beijing to see you every week. How can I not have you? What's more, I will only be in Shanghai for a period of time. It's not like I will settle in Shanghai in the future. Why can't he understand?" No one could say whether love was right or wrong. Maybe Yin Pan's boyfriend thought that she was too career-minded. She did not need to be so tired. Why did she have to work so hard? Moreover, Maybe he hoped that Yin Pan could spare more time to accompany him and did not have to live so far apart. But maybe Yin Pan thought that women should be more independent. This time, she could come to Shanghai with him, which would be a springboard for her career. As long as she had enough qualifications, when she returned to Beijing, she would definitely be put in an important position. Once Qin Sheng took a higher position in the group in the future, she would naturally rise. She and her boyfriend were both from ordinary families. Naturally, they had to think about the future. They did not need to care about anything when they were in love. They only needed passion to support them. However, marriage was a reality. Marriage would face the test of two families, daily necessities: rice, oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, and tea. Anything was very likely to destroy the marriage. There were too many examples. Because they insisted on different ideas, the discussion finally broke down. Naturally, they said that they wanted to break up. Although they might still love each other deeply, maybe they gave up because they loved each other too much and cared too much. Qin Sheng was not a relationship consultant, but he still asked, "Do you still love him?" When she heard this, Yin Pan seemed to break down a little. She covered her face and cried bitterly. If she did not love him, they would not have been able to go from college to now. Although they had been quarreling recently, she still loved this man deeply. "Since you still love him, then ask him to stay. I will give you a few days off. You can go to Beijing and talk to him face to face. Don't feel ashamed, and don't feel too humble. As long as you really love him, you should strive for it. At least it is better than missing him and regretting it. You have a good talk and say what you need to say. It will be best if you can reconcile with each other. Even if you can't make it in the end and you still have to break up, you should at least say goodbye with dignity." Qin Sheng said earnestly. Naturally, he had experienced more than Yin Pan. After hearing this, Yin Pan was at a loss. It seemed that she was not willing to bow down like this. But this time, they did not seem to be joking. They were really going to break up. Qin Sheng continued to say, "Don't be too ambitious. Care more about others. I know that for you. It is a critical period of your career now. You dare not to relax easily. So, don't worry about me. No matter where I am transferred to in the group in the future, you will always be my #1 secretary. What do you think?" This was Qin Sheng's promise to Yin Pan. When Yin Pan heard this, she was a little touched. To be honest, she had once imagined how good it would be if Qin Sheng was her boyfriend. After all, who did not like Qin Sheng? But it was just an unintentional fantasy. She still loved her boyfriend deeply from the bottom of her heart. After all, feelings were born from staying with each other day and night and time. Yin Pan did not know what to say. Qin Sheng had said what he should say and considered for her. What else could she do unless she really wanted to give up this relationship? In the end, Qin Sheng silently patted Yin Pan's shoulder and said, "Yin Pan, no matter what, the most terrible thing in life is missing out and regretting. Don't let yourself regret." Qin Sheng seemed to say this to himself. He had missed a lot of people and a lot of things, and also left a lot of regrets. Every time he thought of these things, he would sigh or shake his head and smile bitterly. So he did not want others to be like him. Chapter 744. A tooth for a tooth, a tooth for a tooth. After hearing Qin Sheng's words, Yin Pan finally made up her mind to take a few days off and go back to Beijing. No matter what the result would be, she would fight for it with no regrets. It was because she still loved that man that she was willing to ask him to stay. In many relationships, people were still deeply in love with each other, but they wanted to save face. No one was willing to bow down in front of love, and in the end, they missed love. It should be known that most men and women only loved one or two people in their lives. After seeing Yin Pan nodding, Qin Sheng immediately informed Zhongshan to give Yin Pan 3 days off, including the 2 days on the weekend. 5 days was enough. He could let others handle the work for the next 2 days. Moreover, after Wang Chengxue left, Qin Sheng had nothing important to deal with. After seeing Wang Chengxue off and comforting Yin Pan, Qin Sheng went to the hospital where Bao Fan was. Bao Fan had already woken up. After a simple examination and treatment, he was resting. The main reason was that he was still in a coma due to physical exhaustion. His wound was fine, and he was fine after resting for a long time. Bao Fan's physical fitness was not bad. In the hospital ward, Chang Baji was chatting with Bao Fan. They did not inform Bao Fan's family about this. Only they knew about it. Boss Tang came after Bao Fan woke up, chatted with him for a while, and then left. The police also made a statement, but they did not know if they could find those people. No matter inside or outside the ward, there were layers of guards, and no one knew what would happen. Bao Fan was very important. After Qin Sheng came in, the others had already left, leaving only Qin Sheng, Chang Baji, and Bao Fan on the bed. Qin Sheng said politely, "Brother Bao, I'm sorry to let you suffer." Bao Fan was a man who had been through a lot in his early years, and this was nothing to him. He said disapprovingly, "He's still alive, and it's just a superficial wound. It's nothing. When I accompanied Master Qin to Liaoning for business, it was really a narrow escape. Today, let's relive the memory of that time." Qin Sheng frowned slightly as he said, "You are all experienced people who have been through a lot, but I didn't expect them to lay their hands on you." This was a reminder for him. He had thought that what happened to Hao Lei was just a coincidence. He didn't expect that the other party's intention was to target the people around him. This was a little unkind. Bao Fan was in a good state of mind. He planned to leave the hospital in the afternoon and go home. Who would be willing to stay in the ward? He shook his head and smiled as he said, "Jianghu is a dangerous place, and people's hearts are complicated. Sometimes you have to resort to unscrupulous means. Since they don't dare to do anything to you now, they can only do something to us first. Hao Lei is the first. Lao Chong and the others are no match for him. Naturally, I will be the next." Qin Sheng sat by the window and said meaningfully, "On the way here, I've been thinking about one thing. I'm always worried about affecting the situation in Beijing, so it's hard for me to act freely in Shanghai. In addition, I've been focusing on Hangzhou during this period of time. That's why the other party is so unscrupulous. I haven't avenged Hao Lei's death, and now they want to lay their hands on you. If we don't fight back, I'm afraid that the other party will really treat us as a soft persimmon." Bao Fan thought about it carefully and said, "I can't say for certain things. Although the situation in Beijing is unpredictable, I think that no matter how much trouble they cause in Shanghai, it will not affect the situation in Beijing, because they are not at the same level at all." Qin Sheng looked at Chang Baji and said, "Lao Chong, you tell me. Otherwise, if this goes on, why do I feel that it's not me who is avenging, but the other party who is unscrupulously making trouble for me? I agree with Lao Bao. We can give it a try first. Anyway, we have shed all pretense of cordiality. What's the taboo?" Chang Baji also said so. Qin Sheng turned to look out of the window and was lost in thought. After a long time, he turned back and said, "Then let's give it a try. We can leave Third Master Wu alone for now. The old monk will make him anxious. We just need to wait for a fatal blow. But the good days of the Yin family should come to an end. What do you want to do?" Chang Baji frowned and waited for Qin Sheng's order. Qin Sheng snorted and said, "A tooth for a tooth." After coming out of the hospital, Qin Sheng went directly to Jiang Xianbang's old foreign-style house on Middle Huaihai Road. Jiang Xianbang, who had been wandering outside for a year and a half, finally returned to China. After Qin Sheng said that he could pick Jiang Xianbang up, Qin went directly to Hong Kong the next day and just returned to Shanghai at noon today. After Jiang Xianbang returned to the old foreign-style house, he directly called Qin Sheng before he had time to tidy up. He asked Qin Sheng to come to Middle Huaihai Road for a drink. This time, he could successfully pass the test and return to China safely, all because of the Qin family and Qin Sheng. Otherwise, he would be like those brothers in Wangbei Tower. No matter how high his social status was, he could not go back to his home. However, when Qin Sheng went to Middle Huaihai Road, Chang Baji and Yang Dania disappeared almost at the same time. Qin Sheng's driver had been replaced by an ordinary bodyguard. Probably only a few people knew about it. Not long after, Bao Fan also got out of the hospital smoothly and went home directly. He was accompanied by several bodyguards of the Qin family, who were ready to take charge of the center and start to operate the resources of the Qin family in Shanghai. In Middle Huaihai Road, In Jiang Xianbang's old foreign-style house, Jiang Xianbang was standing in the living room at the moment, full of emotions. Finally, he was home. This familiar feeling was really good. Fortunately, he had prepared in advance, sold his assets, and left Shanghai smoothly. If he had left a few days later, he might not have been able to leave. Once he was caught, it would be extremely difficult to find a way out because he would have to challenge the judicial rules at that time. Coupled with the pressure from the higher-ups, it would be difficult for anyone to help him. However, if he had not been arrested, he would have had the chance to play games and compromise. In this way, when the Qin family helped him later, it would be much easier. After Jiang Xianbang came back, the whole old foreign-style house seemed to be much more lively, not as cold as before. The servants and bodyguards who had been dismissed were all back, and the 2 bodyguards and drivers who had gone to Hong Kong with Jiang Xianbang were also back. The whole old foreign-style house was extremely lively. Qing was the happiest one. She had been busy all the time and had already brewed a pot of tea for her uncle. She knew that her uncle liked to drink the tea she brewed the most. The old housekeeper was talking about some things that happened during this period and answered Jiang Xianbang's questions. In the kitchen, the 2 housekeepers had already started to get busy. The old housekeeper had planned to go out to welcome Jiang Xianbang. Since Jiang Xianbang had been wandering outside for so long, he really did not want to go out now that he was back. So he asked him to cook some home-cooked dishes and he would drink with him later. Jiang Xianbang shouted happily, "It feels so good to be back home." Qing covered her mouth and smiled coquettishly. "Uncle, I guess it won't be long before you get bored again. Home is not as wonderful as the outside world." Jiang Xianbang laughed heartily and said, "No matter how wonderful the outside world is, it is the outside world. Home is home after all. This is everyone's home. No matter how tired or how hard it is, it doesn't matter as long as I'm back home." He was so happy that he did not know what to do. After such a long time, Jiang Xianbang had not changed much except that he was a little older and thinner. He was still the Jiang Xianbang in those years, except that he had many more stories and vicissitudes. "Qing play a song for me. I haven't listened to it for a long time." Jiang Xianbang drank his tea and felt that something was missing. He came to his senses and asked Qing to play a song. Qing pursed her lips and smiled. Of course, she would not refuse. This was her favorite thing to do in the past, but she did not have the chance to play it later. Therefore, Qing slowly walked to the front of the guzheng. After thinking for a while, she chose a song that her uncle used to like listening to the fishing boat sing in the evening. It seemed that Qin Sheng also liked this song. Qing looked different in daily life, but when she was immersed in the world of music, she looked different. At this time, Qing's temperament was really otherworldly. No wonder Qin Sheng was fascinated by her at that time. Everyone in the old foreign-style house was fascinated by the song. Jiang Xianbang squinted his eyes and enjoyed the tea very much. He did not open his eyes until the song ended. He could not help but applaud and praise. "Qing, I haven't listened to it for a long time. Your guzheng attainments are getting better and better. It seems that I made the right choice to let you learn music." "Uncle, it's not that. It's just that you haven't listened to it for a long time," Qing said with some embarrassment. At this time, Jiang Xianbang thought of something and purposely muttered, "Qin Sheng is also a bad boy. When I was not here, he was very diligent. Why is he so slow after I came back? Did he do something wrong and dare not see me?" Qing did not think of anything else. She just wanted to help Qin Sheng explain. So she hurriedly said, "Uncle, he has been very busy recently. Maybe he is on his way." However, before she finished speaking, Qing came to her senses and said with a red face, "Uncle, why are you making fun of me? I don't want to talk to you anymore." Seeing Qing's shy look, Jiang Xianbang could not help laughing. He remembered that when he was in Shanghai, Qing did not have a good impression of Qin Sheng at all. She always thought that Qin Sheng was just a playboy and would refute him every time. However, it had only been more than a year. By the time he returned to Shanghai, Qing had obviously been conquered by Qin Sheng. Anyone could see that this little woman obviously liked Qin Sheng. Otherwise, why would she help Qin Sheng to free himself? Why was she shy? Well, How can I not know about your affairs? Your Uncle Wang has already told me. Jiang Xianbang did not intend to hide and said bluntly. Hearing this, the old housekeeper quickly turned around and walked away. Oh, I'll go to the kitchen. The food should be ready. Qing was about to complain, but the initiator had already slipped away. She was embarrassed and blushed again. She did not dare to look up at her uncle. Girl, come here. There is nothing to be shy about. Tell me, how far have you developed? Jiang Xianbang had never cared about the affairs between men and women. These years, he had had many women, but they were always in a hurry and parted on good terms. No woman could accompany him all the time. Even if the woman was willing, Jiang Xianbang would take the initiative to refuse, so he was more open-minded than anyone else. Qing was a loss and did not know what to say. After all, this matter was only between her and Qin Sheng. Now that her uncle had joined in, it seemed that their little secret had been exposed. She did not know how to face it. Therefore, Qing did not walk over. She just sat there in a daze with her head down. Jiang Xianbang laughed and said, You really don't want to say? Originally, I wanted to ask Qin Sheng face to face today and see how to deal with your affairs. Since you don't want to say, then forget it. Hearing this, Qing subconsciously raised her head. When she was about to speak, Qin Sheng's voice came from the door. Jiang Xianbang said happily, Just in time, the main character is here. I'll ask him face to face. This time, Qing was a little more flustered. Baidu, search 881 Chinese net. No advertising words. Chapter 745. The biggest luck. Qing always thought that her love for Qin Sheng grew gradually. She didn't fall in love with him at first sight or after a long time. From a misunderstanding at the beginning to the gradual understanding and contact, and finally to the trust and dependence, it was all because of the little things that happened during this period. In the end, Qin Sheng touched Qing with his sincerity and melted her cold heart with his warmth. From then on, she knew what love was. Therefore, after Qing met Qin Sheng, she never restrained her feelings and always liked to pester Qin Sheng. She was so real and simple. If she liked someone, she liked him. If she didn't like him, she didn't like him. There was no reason or excuse for her. No matter what Qin Sheng and Qing thought, Jiang Xianbang was very happy about it. He didn't know what to do with Qing. She didn't like anyone and didn't want to get in touch with anyone. Although many young talents pursued her, none of them really suited her. At that time, Jiang Xianbang intended to matchmake Qing with Qin Sheng. However, Qing misunderstood Qin Sheng and hated him more or less. So they didn't have any chance. Jiang Xianbang gave up. As for later, when he went abroad, he had no choice but to let Qin Sheng take care of Qing. Unexpectedly, so many things happened later. When he came back, Qing actually fell in love with Qin Sheng, which was interesting. Now, he was back. Qing was also here, and Qin Sheng was also here. It was time to tell them about it. He also knew how to solve it, so he wouldn't embarrass Qin Sheng and Qing. Qin Sheng walked into the old foreign-style house. Like everyone else, it was much more lively than before. If the house was too big, it would not be lively, and naturally it would be cold. Qin Sheng had previously suggested to Qing whether she should move to another place to live. Staying in such an environment for a long time, one's mood would also become depressed. After a long time, it would be easy for her to get sick. Who knew that Qing would reject him? She still preferred the familiar environment. Qin Sheng had no choice. Now that Jiang Xianbang was back, the old foreign-style house became lively again. Qin Sheng didn't need to worry about Qing anymore. She must be in a better mood than anyone else. As expected, after entering the old foreign-style house, Qin Sheng saw Jiang Xianbang and Qing chatting happily. However, Qing looked a little shy. Qin Sheng didn't know what they were talking about. There were many outsiders in the old foreign-style house, but Qin Sheng did not care about them. He guessed that they were probably Jiang Xianbang's bodyguards and attendants. After all, no matter how down and out Jiang Xianbang was, he was never short of money. He walked towards Jiang Xianbang with a smile. Jiang Xianbang had already stood up at this moment. He looked at Qin Sheng with a somewhat complicated look in his eyes. Qin Sheng walked up to Jiang Xianbang and gave him a warm hug, saying, "Uncle Jiang, welcome home." Jiang Xianbang had mixed feelings. If it wasn't for Qin Sheng's help, he might still be in Wangbei Tower drinking and bragging with those people of all trades. However, that kind of life was actually quite interesting. Every day, he could hear different stories and all kinds of news. It was even more interesting than the news broadcast. However, as time went by, it would eventually become boring. Most of them were meaningless social intercourse and drinking parties. How could they compare to the feeling of going home? Jiang Xianbang patted Qin Sheng's back gently and let out a long sigh. I won't say any pretentious or polite words. Everything is in the wine. There are no outsiders today, just you, me, and Qing Er. Let's not go home until we're drunk. Qin Sheng could feel that Jiang Xianbang was really happy. Of course, he agreed without hesitation. Okay, let's not go home until we're drunk. Qin Sheng hadn't seen Jiang Xianbang for almost 2 years. Jiang Xianbang was much thinner than when they had first met. There were more wrinkles on his face, and his hair was full of white hair. However, he seemed to be more stable than before. Maybe after experiencing the ups and downs this time, Jiang Xianbang's life would be completely fixed. After greeting Jiang Xianbang, Qin Sheng looked at Qing Er, who had already walked to his side. Today, Qing Er was dressed very beautifully, like a fairy who had just fallen into the mortal world. She made people intoxicated, but did not dare to have any improper thoughts. If there was no one else, Qing Er probably could not help but hug Qin Sheng. No matter how aloof Qing Er was, after all, she was just an ordinary woman. When any woman fell in love, she would be tortured by lovesickness and would love to be together every day. Although Qing Er was not so exaggerated, Qin Sheng missed her very much after not seeing her for a few days. It was just that there were other people present, especially since her uncle had just told her about her, and Qin was a little embarrassed. Naturally, she did not dare to be so direct. Qin Sheng looked at Qing Er and laughed. "What's wrong? What were you talking about just now? Why is your face red?" "Nothing, I was just joking. Aren't you busy today?" Qing Er quickly changed the topic, but the way she looked at Qin Sheng was so gentle. Anyone could see that this was the look when she liked someone. Qin Sheng said happily, "Uncle Jiang is finally back. No matter how busy I am, I have to rush over. Today, I want to drink with Uncle Jiang and welcome him back." "You guys should drink less," Qing muttered softly. At this time, Jiang Xianbang did not make fun of Qing Er anymore. He would say it when it was time. The old butler had already informed the kitchen that dinner was ready. They could go to the dining room for dinner. Therefore, Jiang Xianbang dragged Qin Sheng and Qing Er to the dining room. There were already 3 bottles of Maodai on the table, and a bottle of red wine prepared for Qing Er. It was rare that they were so happy today, so Qing Er would also drink. At this moment, the 3 of them looked like a family of 3, more like a father and his daughter and son-in-law. The scene was more or less warm. To Jiang Xianbang, Qing Er was the relationship between a daughter and a father. Now that his daughter had a man she liked, and it was a young man he had always admired, how could Jiang Xianbang not be happy? As for the things that happened later, they were all choices made by each other. They should be able to bear the price. At least Jiang Xianbang did not care about these things. By the time they entered the dining room, the dishes were already on the table. There weren't too many exotic delicacies. Most of them were home-cooked dishes. Jiang Xianbang was already tired of eating exotic delicacies. He just wanted to have a few bites of these authentic home-cooked dishes. Qin Sheng took the initiative to invite the butler, Uncle Wang, to eat together. Uncle Wang smiled and said that they would meet later. Jiang Xianbang casually said, "Don't invite him. He's been working for so many years and doesn't know how to live a good life. I asked him to go back to his hometown to enjoy 1,000 years of life, but he refused. He insisted on guarding this broken house for me." Qin Sheng had heard the story of the butler, Uncle Wang, from Jiang Xianbang. He could be regarded as his companion along the way, but he did not have much ability. Later, After he retired, he helped Jiang Xianbang. His wife had passed away a few years ago. His son was doing well in his hometown, but he did not have much contact with him. There were no outsiders, only Jiang Xianbang, Qin Sheng, and Qing Er. Today's meal was a welcome dinner for Jiang Xianbang. It seemed that when Qin Sheng returned to Shanghai and first came to the old foreign-style house, it was such a home-cooked meal. At that time, it was also Qin Sheng's first time to see Qing Er, so he left a very bad impression. In the evening, Qing Er even cooked noodles for them. Jiang Xianbang, Qin Sheng, and Qing sighed with emotion. Unconsciously, it has been almost 2 years since you came back to Shanghai. Time really flies. Jiang Xianbang sighed with emotion. At that time, he was already at the peak of prosperity and then declined. Now, it was a blessing from the extreme of misfortune. Qin Sheng smiled and said, "Uncle, don't be so emotional. No matter how emotional you are, we still have to move forward. It's better to drink more wine." "Ha ha. Actually, I am not emotional for myself, but for you. Let's not talk about what you were like when you were studying in Shanghai. Even when you returned to Shanghai 2 years later, you were still very ordinary. But what is your current identity? If you tell anyone, who would dare to believe it?" Jiang Xianbang looked at Qin Sheng and smiled. Qin Sheng said thoughtfully, "I don't know whether others believe it or not, but Uncle Jiang, you definitely believe it. Because you and my grandfather have a relationship, and you have always admired him." "Ha ha ha. To be honest, I think your grandfather is not an ordinary person, so I admire and cultivate you so much. You see, I have a good eye for this investment. Otherwise, how can I sit with you and drink now? I don't know where I would be wandering," Jiang Xianbang said, not treating himself as an outsider. This was the wisdom of adults, which belonged to life's opportunities. It had nothing to do with currying favor and being clever. Qin Sheng smiled and said, "Alas, I don't know how our Qin family owed you in your previous life. I don't know how many generations of good fortune you have accumulated. My grandfather helped you once. Now, our Qin family helps you again. How are you going to repay us?" "Io, Qin Sheng, I'm not convinced by your words. My daughter has been given to you, and you still want me to return it. That's too much." Jiang Xianbang unexpectedly changed the topic to Qing Er. Qing Er's eyes lit up. Qing Er did not speak, just listening to the two men chatting here. She helped them pour wine and occasionally clink glasses with them. She felt that the atmosphere was very good, but who would have thought that her uncle would make fun of her so soon? Qin Sheng almost spat out the wine in his mouth. He looked at Jiang Xianbang with a puzzled look, which meant, "Uncle Jiang, what do you mean?" Jiang Xianbang said angrily, "What? You don't want to admit it? Let me tell you, Qin Sheng, don't deny it just because we are good friends. I can see that Qing has fallen in love with you. Don't tell me you don't know that you are this girl's first love. Do you have the heart to treat her like this? When has she ever fallen in love with another man? If you don't tell me everything today, don't think that you can't walk out of this door." Qin Sheng finally knew that today was not a welcoming banquet, but a banquet to kill at Hongmen. Jiang Xianbang, this old fox, was really a little bit unreasonable. He was forcing Qin Sheng to abdicate. Qin Sheng let out a long sigh and said, "Uncle Jiang, I know Qing likes me, but I already have a girlfriend. You know this. Qing also knows this." After hearing this, Qing was obviously a little happy. It seemed that Qin Sheng knew that she liked him. In this case, it was not wishful thinking on her part. As for what Qin Sheng said later, she had already ignored it. Don't care about other things first. You just need to tell me, do you like Qing? Jiang Xianbang asked very seriously, and he only wanted to hear the truth from Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng hesitated for a moment and looked at Qing next to him. Qing eyes were full of expectation. Qin Sheng nodded heavily and said, "Yes." When Qing heard the word like, there was a dazzling look in her eyes. Her heart was in full bloom. After hearing Qin Sheng's answer, Jiang Xianbang was very satisfied. "I know what you were worried about. I don't know about others, but you don't have to worry about Qing. As long as she likes you, you can do whatever you want. She won't fall in love with anyone else. As for the so-called status, she doesn't care about it. As long as you treat her well and care about her, that's all." Jiang Xianbang was very satisfied after hearing Qin Sheng's answer. He thought it was within his expectations. Then he said, "That's all right." After Jiang Xianbang finished speaking, Qing already couldn't wait to nod, for fear that Qin Sheng would reject her because of these things. She was originally a strange woman, and he couldn't treat her with the eyes of ordinary people. Moreover, she had talked about this with her uncle many times. If she couldn't meet the person she liked, she would be alone for the rest of her life. This was also the reason why Jiang Xianbang was so worried about her. Qin Sheng was stunned. He didn't expect such a result. Jiang Xianbang let out a long sigh and said, "Although Qin is not my biological daughter, I am closer to her than my biological daughter. I don't want to see the moment when she enters the marriage hall. But all this must be based on the premise that she likes happiness. If she doesn't, what is the use of all this? I promised her parents to take good care of her and hope that she will be happy for the rest of her life. So I don't want to bind her with these secular shackles. Qin Sheng, do you understand?" Qin Sheng nodded heavily and said, "I understand." How could he not understand? Qing Er's eyes had already turned red. She knew that her uncle loved her deeply. It had been like this since she was a child. Everything was fine as long as she was willing and liked. Her uncle had never forced her. The greatest luck in her life was not to meet Qin Sheng, but to meet her uncle. Jiang Xianbang raised his head and drank a glass of wine. He said very seriously, "So now, Qin Sheng, I'd give Qing it to you. Are you willing?" Baidu search 881 Chinese net. No advertising words. Chapter 746. I can only help you so much. What Jiang Xianbang was most worried about was that Qing had always been so pure and had never found a man she liked to rely on. It was fine now, but when he left one day, what would Qing do? At that time, Qing would be old, and it would be very difficult for her to find a suitable man she liked. What he was most afraid of was that Qing would still be like this. With her character, she would not have many friends. How would she live her life? Would she be so lonely? Every time he thought of this, Jiang Xianbang was heartbroken. He always wanted to arrange everything for Qing but he could not find a suitable one. It was the same when he found Qin Sheng, but Qing did not like Qin Sheng, who knew that now there would be a light at the end of the tunnel. How could Jiang Xianbang not be happy? There was no shop like this, not to mention that Qing liked Qin Sheng so much, which was enough. As for the status and so on, he did not care about it, and Qing did not like it. Moreover, with the family background of the Qin family, Qing was destined not to suffer any hardships or grievances in this life. However, now he and Qing had no opinion. It depended on Qin Sheng's attitude. So Jiang Xianbang had already said it very straightforwardly, waiting for Qin Sheng's answer. Qin Sheng was also at a loss. He did not know that he would be given such a headache today. He had long known Qing Er's feelings and character. Now he also knew the decision of Jiang Xianbang and Qing, but he was somewhat conflicted in his heart. It was not that he was unwilling to bear this responsibility, but he felt that Qing was too wronged. He also knew what would happen if he refused. He was afraid that it would completely hurt Qing Er's heart. She was the kind of woman who was hard to be moved and hard to forget. Her character had already been destined to be like this. After Qin Sheng thought about it, he looked at Qing and asked, "Aren't you afraid of being wronged?" After hearing this, Qing shook her head hard. It seemed that she did not feel wronged at all. Instead, she felt that this was happiness. It was difficult for her to fall in love with someone. It was also difficult for her to forget someone. It was even more difficult for her to fall in love with someone again. In this life, she was Qin Sheng. She accepted it. Hearing this, Qin Sheng took the initiative to hold Qing Er's hand and said, "Okay, from now on, you are my woman. No matter what happens in the future, you have me. I will take care of you." There are no sweeter words of love and no more important promise than this. Qing was so happy that she cried tears of joy. What she was most afraid of was being rejected by Qin Sheng. As for those grievances and whatnot, they were not things that she cared about. As a result, Qing could not help but hug Qin Sheng. This time, she did not need to be afraid of her uncle's existence anymore. She should thank her uncle. If it were not for her uncle, Qin Sheng would not have expressed his love for her, because she did not know how to say these words to Qin Sheng at all. Qin Sheng held Qing in his arms and gently stroked her back. He smiled and comforted her. The fate of life was really wonderful. Maybe today's ending was destined from the day he met Qing. As for why Qin Sheng had agreed, only he himself knew. However, his experiences and feelings during this period of time had made Qin Sheng look down on a lot of things, especially the relationship with Su Qin that had broken up on bad terms. Jiang Xianbang smiled happily like a child. The thing he was most worried about was finally settled. In the future, he would really start to live in retirement. Everything could disappear, and there was nothing worth fighting for. After this episode, Qing and Qin Sheng finally separated. After this episode, Qing and Qin Sheng finally separated. Jiang Xianbang held up his glass and said, today is a double blessing. Congratulations to you. In the future, you should cherish and understand each other, especially Qing. Since you chose Qin Sheng, you should understand what you might have lost. Do you understand? Jiang Xianbang raised his glass and said, today is a double blessing. Qing was already sitting next to Qin Sheng. She said shyly, Uncle, I know. This big thing was finally settled, and he finally came back. Jiang Xianbang was in a good mood. He kept drinking with Qin Sheng, talking about his experience outside for more than a year and what happened to Qin Sheng during this period. It did not take long to finish the 3 bottles of white wine. Qin Sheng was defeated by Jiang Xianbang. Qin Sheng was drunk. He did not know whether it was because he was too tired recently or because he was really happy today. Anyway, he lost to Jiang Xianbang. This did not seem to be because of his drinking capacity. On the contrary, Jiang Xianbang seemed to be fine. He was really happy today. He felt that he could drink 1,000 cups without getting drunk. Maybe it was because he drank a lot in Hong Kong during this period. His drinking capacity was really getting bigger and bigger. Qing did not drink much. She only drank half a bottle of red wine. She was a little dizzy, but she was not drunk. She also had a small drinking capacity. Qing, Uncle is really happy. Jiang Xianbang looked at the woman who was closer to him than his own daughter and said happily. Qing said with some emotion, Uncle, thank you. What are you thanking me for? As long as you are happy, Uncle will be satisfied. When I die and see your parents, Uncle can also explain to them. I hope they can also understand me. Jiang Xianbang said with a smile. Qing was moved and said with red eyes, Uncle, don't say that. I still have to be filial to you in the future. Uncle is just joking. I am still young. Jiang Xianbang laughed and stood up. Oh, it feels so good to be back. I am still used to living in Shanghai. I have to go shopping tomorrow. I really don't know how good this city is until I go out. After that, Jiang Xianbang was ready to go back to his room to rest. Qing looked at Qin Sheng, who was already drunk and unconscious on the table. She was at a loss and said, Uncle, what about Qin Sheng? Jiang Xianbang was an experienced person. How could he miss such an opportunity? Of course, the rice had to be cooked. No matter what happened tonight, Qin Sheng could not go back on his words when he woke up tomorrow. So he said, What should I do? This is your man. Of course, I will send him to your room to take care of him. Do you want me to take care of him? Hearing this, Qing blushed instantly. She was even redder than before. She had never experienced this kind of thing before. It was inevitable that she would be more embarrassed. Of course, Jiang Xianbang knew what Qing was thinking. He could only try harder and said, What is there to be embarrassed about? He will slowly get used to it in the future. Besides, I just want you to take care of him. Okay. After hesitating for a while, Qing finally nodded and agreed. Qin Sheng was her man now. It was her duty to take care of him. So the nanny helped Qing send Qin Sheng back to her room. Looking at Qin Sheng on the bed, Qing did not know where to start. At this time, there were only the two of them in the whole room. Outside the door, when Jiang Xianbang passed by Qing room, he smiled and said, Qing, Uncle can only help you this much. The rest is up to you. If someone saw Jiang Xianbang's expression at this time, he would definitely say, I don't believe you. You are a bad old man. In the room, Qin Sheng had already fallen asleep. Qing stood there a little blankly. She did not know how to take care of Qin Sheng. She originally wanted Qin Sheng to sleep on the bed, and she would make do on the sofa for the night. But then she thought of what her uncle said just now. She was already Qin Sheng's woman. In this case, many things would happen sooner or later. If Qin Sheng woke up tomorrow and saw her, he might be angry. Therefore, Qing finally gave up this idea. After hesitating for a moment, she slowly walked to Qin Sheng's side. After taking 2 deep breaths, she made up her mind to help Qin Sheng take off his clothes. It was especially embarrassing when he took off his pants. After all, there were differences between men and women. Qing had never experienced this before. There was another thing that made Qing blush. That was, Qin Sheng's figure was really good. The muscles on his body were especially well proportioned, just like those athletes. He should be exercising often or going to the gym. This was the first time she saw this. However, there was also something that made her sad. That was, there were a lot of scars on Qin Sheng's body, big and small. It was shocking. He must have experienced a lot to get to where he was today. After this matter, Qing did not feel embarrassed anymore. She only felt sorry for Qin Sheng. After helping Qin Sheng take off his clothes, Qing took a towel and wiped Qin Sheng's face. Finally, she covered Qin Sheng with a quilt, for fear that the air conditioner would be too cold and Qin Sheng would catch a cold. Qin Sheng fell asleep. Qing stood by the bed in a daze for a while. After hesitating for a few minutes, she walked into the bathroom and only changed into her pajamas. After coming out, she got under the quilt and hugged Qin Sheng tightly. Feeling Qin Sheng's temperature and breathing, her mood was so calm at this moment. From now on, she was really Qin Sheng's woman. Apart from her uncle, Qin Sheng would be the most important family member in her life. She would treat Qin Sheng like an uncle. There was still a long way to go in life, and there were still many things to experience. Thinking of the many stories with this man, Qing was really very happy. She could not help but secretly kiss Qin Sheng, like a little girl who had done something wrong. She did not dare to look up at Qin Sheng again. She just hugged Qin Sheng tightly and fell asleep in this way. In the middle of the night, Qing only felt that someone was hugging her tightly. In particular, someone put his hand in the place where it should not be, as if he was enjoying it and did not want to leave. Qing thought she was dreaming and did not think much about it. After waking up, Qin Sheng was the first to wake up. He more or less had a headache. His memory still stayed at the time when he drank too much last night. When he was wondering where he was, he found that he was hugging a woman in his arms. Qin Sheng thought that the driver and the bodyguard had sent him home last night, but he felt that the environment was a bit wrong. This was not the home of Lu Jiazui apartment. After taking a closer look at the woman in his arms, he found that this woman was not Lin Su, but Qing. Qin Sheng was stunned in an instant. Then he thought for a few seconds and finally could not help laughing. Of course, he recalled what happened last night and understood what was going on, except that he felt that it was a little too fast. He did not feel that there was any other problem. Since he had made a decision, Qin Sheng would not go back on his words, let alone be overcautious and hesitant. After thinking about things for a while, Qin Sheng got up quietly, for fear of waking Qing up. He put on his clothes and was ready to go out for a breath of fresh air. But before leaving, he did not forget to leave a gentle kiss on Qing's forehead. This silly woman was quite cute sometimes. What Qin Sheng did not know was that when he got up, Qing had already woken up. But she did not dare to open her eyes and did not know how to face Qin Sheng. It was not until Qin Sheng kissed her forehead and walked out of the room that Qing opened her eyes. She smiled foolishly and happily. Baidu search 881 Chinese net. No advertising words. Chapter 747. The first kiss was gone. Qing's routine was very regular. She had woken up before Qin Sheng woke up. However, Qin Sheng held her so tightly that she could not get up at all. Moreover, she was worried about Qin Sheng and wanted him to sleep a little longer. She could feel that Qin Sheng had been very tired recently. Qing just lay in his arms, motionless. She was a little shy and a little happy. It was just that someone's hand was very restless, which made Qing or very helpless. But when she thought that she was already his woman, it did not matter anymore. In this way, waited until Qin Sheng got up. When she felt that Qin Sheng had woken up, she immediately pretended to be asleep, for fear that Qin Sheng would find out that she had woken up. She also wanted to see Qin Sheng's reaction. After all, Qin Sheng was drunk last night and might not remember what had happened later. At first, Qin Sheng did not move. Later, Qin Sheng carefully got dressed and got up. Qing thought that Qin Sheng was going to run away and was somewhat sad. It was not until Qin Sheng came over and kissed her again that Qing was completely relieved. Then she giggled. Of course, she knew what it meant. After Qin Sheng came out of Qing Er's room, fortunately, there was no one on the second floor. Otherwise, it would be somewhat embarrassing. After all, this was Jiang Xianbang's old foreign-style house. He casually found a bathroom and washed his face to refresh himself before going downstairs. When he went downstairs, he saw Jiang Xianbang sitting in the living room and drinking tea. Qin Sheng did not know when he got up. After seeing Qin Sheng coming down, Jiang Xianbang said with a smirk, "Qin Sheng, every minute of the night is precious. Why don't you sleep a little longer?" As soon as Jiang Xianbang said this, Qin Sheng knew what had happened last night. Qing could not be so direct. It must be Jiang Xianbang's idea. He said angrily, "Old Jiang, you are really not her father. How can you be so unreasonable? You're making things difficult for Qing." Jiang Xianbang said disapprovingly, "What's wrong? What's there to make things difficult for? What's the relationship between you two now? Childish. I'm afraid that it will be too fast for Qing to accept it. After all, she is not that kind of girl." Qin Sheng sighed and could not do anything to Jiang Xianbang. Jiang Xianbang waved his hand and said, all right. It's just a matter of time. Don't worry about it. Qing doesn't have any opinion. You're the one who's nagging." Qin Sheng shrugged and said speechlessly, Fine. Whatever you say. I'm too lazy to argue with you." Jiang Xianbang poured a cup of tea for Qin Sheng and said, "Sit down, let's talk business. You didn't mention this on the phone these few times. I know I can't help you, but I can help you analyze it. After all, I am an experienced person." Qin Sheng sat down very seriously. Jiang Xianbang said with fervor and assurance, "This time in Hong Kong, I didn't do anything. I just heard a lot of stories and news. In the past, I only heard about Wangbei Tower of the Four Seasons Hotel from others. This time, I experienced it personally. You have to say, it's really interesting. There are all kinds of people, including local tycoons and big shots who are in trouble, brokers who swindle and kidnap people, henchmen and stars who want to cling to people's thighs, and the real fierce people who play the pig to eat the tiger. The most famous one is naturally the big client who spent more than 100 million in the Four Seasons Hotel. Recently, it should be the owner of Saipan. But most of the stories I heard were about your family. Of course, there are also many stories about Hainan. Now I can ask you, the person involved, what happened? Why did it suddenly become like this? To be honest, I don't know a lot of things. The old man never told me, nor did he let me participate in these things. But some of the rumors are true. The Chang and faction really touched the red line. Even those previous achievements can't make up for it. That's why it became like this. The Chang and faction is now divided, and it is still in the game. All the forces behind it are showing their cards. I am not qualified to sit at the table at all, so I was sent to Shanghai. Qin Sheng sighed with emotion. This was the feeling of helplessness. Jiang Xianbang said thoughtfully, "I didn't expect so much of the news to be true. It seems that I did not organize those dinner parties in vain. I still know some inside stories. Have you seen any big client who spent more than 100 million? Qin Sheng asked casually. It was just gossip. Jiang Xianbang picked up the teacup and said with a smile, "This is a legendary figure. I have seen him, how can I not? We also talked a few times and it was not bad. After all, I'm also a big figure in Shanghai. I heard that he likes to have children. Haha, I almost asked him in person. Although he's just a white glove and not a real big boss, he is involved in a lot of areas. So the game is still going on with him, but he has betrayed many people to save their lives. But recently, the most popular one is not him, but the person related to the one who fell in the financial street. I don't know how many big bosses in Wangbei Tower are disheartened. Oh, Wangbei Tower is really lively. No wonder it is so famous, Qin Sheng said with a smile. No wonder it was known as the most well-informed place in Hong Kong. It was just that the threshold was too high. Ordinary local tycoons could not get in at all. Even if they were worth billions, they were not big figures in it. Jiang Xianbang asked casually, "What happened to the one in the financial street has nothing to do with your family, right? Otherwise, it will be really bad. I heard that it is very big, and a lot of people are involved." This was a big thing that happened recently. How could Qin Sheng not know about it? It was just that the layman just watched the fun, while the expert knew the ropes. Anyone with a discerning eye knew that this person's accident was actually similar to the Chong and group, Shanghai, Hainan, and Inner Mongolia. Since a few years ago, the focus of anti-corruption had been on the financial system. In recent years, many big bosses in the financial system had fallen, which caused many companies related to the financial system to have problems. The Chong and group was one of them, but it was at a higher level. Qin Sheng shook his head and said, "My family has nothing to do with this person. His subordinates are just ordinary people, and he is more likely to be just a hub for transferring benefits, just in this key position." After hearing this, Jiang Xianbang was relieved and said, "That's good." After Jiang Xianbang finished talking about the Qin family, he did not ask anything else. After all, this was a level that he could not reach at all. No matter how much he said, he could not help. Jiang Xianbang asked, "So how was your time in Shanghai? I heard that you have taken revenge on the Yin family and Third Master Wu. What's the situation now?" If it is only the Yin family and Third Master Wu, it is not a big deal. But they have the support of Sijio City, which is the sworn enemy of our Qin family. So I'm afraid that I have done something too much, which will make things more difficult for the old man. So I have been afraid. After saying this, Qin Sheng sighed. Jiang Xianbang thought for a moment and said, "It is not impossible that you think so, but I don't think it is necessary to be so careful. Third Master Wu and the Yin family are not good people. Those people are just using a borrowed knife to kill people. If something really happens, they will not protect them." Qin Sheng then remembered that Chong Baji and Yang Dainyu had already taken action, but there was no news yet. But Qin Sheng believed that this counterattack would definitely make the other side pay the price. Qin Sheng smiled and nodded as he said, "Well, I know." After they continued to chat for a while, Qing finally finished her shower and went downstairs. She was more or less embarrassed to see her in-laws. Jiang Xianbang deliberately joked, "Girl, why did you get up so late today?" Qing was originally a little embarrassed. After hearing Jiang Xianbang's words, she felt even more embarrassed. Even Qin Sheng was a little embarrassed. This was originally Jiang Xianbang's intention. The more embarrassed, the more intimate they would be in the future. Otherwise, the progress of their relationship would be very slow. After Qing walked to the sofa, she took the initiative to sit next to Qin Sheng. After smelling the pungent smell of alcohol on Qin Sheng, she said, "You haven't taken a shower yet, right? I will go out to buy 2 new clothes for you. You can change after taking a shower. Otherwise, it will be too smelly." After Qin Sheng got up, he did not even wash his face and brush his teeth, let alone take a shower. He directly ran out. At this time, hearing Qing Er's words, Qin Sheng had to smile and nod to agree. After Qing asked about the size of the clothes, she went out with the bodyguards to buy clothes. After all, there were shopping malls everywhere on Middle Huaihai Road. It was quite convenient to buy 2 clothes casually. "How is it?" "Qing, it was not bad, right? You are lucky to have a good wife and a loving mother in the future." Jiang Xianbang waited until Qing left and then joked. Qin Sheng was also speechless about Jiang Xianbang's improper behavior. This time, he finally satisfied him. However, Qin Sheng also took advantage of the situation. Who would not want to have a woman like Qing? He really did not know how lucky he was. When Qing came back after buying clothes, Qin Sheng had already entered the room to take a shower. Of course, he was in Qing Er's room. After all, they were already boyfriend and girlfriend. When went upstairs with the clothes, Qin Sheng had just finished taking a shower, wrapped in a bath towel. When saw Qin Sheng's half-naked body, she instantly blushed. She lowered her head and said very embarrassedly, "This is for you. Put on quickly." Seeing such a shy and lovely Qin Sheng inexplicably wanted to tease her. Moreover, she was already his woman, so he did not have to worry about anything. Qin Sheng walked to Qing with a smile on his face. He took the clothes and directly threw them on the bed. He very domineeringly hugged Qing and said, "Qing tell me honestly, did you bully me last night?" Qing was a little nervous. She also knew that Qin Sheng was deliberately teasing her. She frowned and said, "I took off your clothes, nothing else." "Oh, really? Then who was hugging me so tightly?" Qin Sheng continued to say unscrupulously. Qing said angrily, "You still dare to say it? It was you who hugged me very tightly, okay? There were a few times when I couldn't breathe, and you still put your hands." Speaking of this, Qing realized that she had spilled the beans. She hurriedly blushed and lowered her head, not daring to say anything more. Qin Sheng was amused by Qing behavior. Of course, he knew what Qing was talking about. Last night, he must have mistaken Qing for Lin Su, so he was so presumptuous. Qing did not speak. Qin Sheng continued to tease her. "Then do you want me to compensate you?" "How?" Qing raised her head subconsciously and asked. After asking, she regretted it. However, at this time, it was too late for regret. Qin Sheng directly kissed Qing. It was very unscrupulous and frivolous. This was his compensation. Qing was a little confused. When she came to her senses, Qin Sheng had already kissed her. Qing had no ability to resist at all. Her whole body directly went soft in Qin Sheng's arms. In the end, she was passively cooperating with Qin Sheng. At this moment, there was only one thought in Qing heart. That was her first kiss was gone just like that. However, she felt a little sweet in her heart because her first kiss was given to the man she liked. Genius 1 Second Remember website. Midnight Reading mobile version website. Chapter 748. Breaking out suddenly. Qing who had no experience in love, naturally did not have any experience in kissing. No one had ever taught her this, so she could only passively accept Qin Sheng's frivolity and then slowly cooperate with his rhythm. After all, many things were instincts of human nature. Female, raw, net, and snovel, net. This long kiss almost made Qing breathless. In the end, Qin Sheng took the initiative to let go of her. Qing let out a long sigh of relief, but she was already soft in Qin Sheng's arms. She was a little shy, a little confused, and a little sweet. Qin Sheng laughed and said, "Qing what do you feel?" Qing really did not dare to continue to stay here. She had been bullied by Qin Sheng enough today. She did not know how to face Qin Sheng. She did not dare to reply to him. She pushed him away, turned around, and ran out. Qin Sheng laughed out loud. He did not expect Qing to be so silly and cute. Even a fairy would fall into the mortal world. Qin Sheng whistled proudly and put on his clothes. He did not expect that the clothes Qing bought were quite suitable. Of course, it was quite in line with his temperament. Women seem to have a natural advantage in this aspect. When Qing came to the living room, Jiang Xianbang naturally saw her embarrassed look. He laughed and said, "Qing why are you blushing again? Did Qin Sheng bully you again? You tell me, how many times have you blushed since yesterday?" "Tut, tut, tut, this is not you in the past." "Uncle, you are here again," Qing said helplessly in a spoiled manner. Jiang Xianbang laughed and did not continue to make fun of Qing. Next, he would have a good rest for a few days and then start to visit old friends and so on, to start a new life. Not long after, Qin Sheng had changed his clothes and came down. At this time, the kitchen had also prepared breakfast. They ate and chatted in the dining room. Qin Sheng was going to visit his grandmother in a while and then directly went to the company. Qing was going to school. She had already taken a few days off. This was Qing Er's hobby and also her work. Jiang Xianbang did not interfere, so naturally Qin Sheng would not say anything until one day Qing Er took the initiative to say that she was tired. When Qin Sheng left, Qing Er was more or less reluctant to let him go. The two of them said goodbye reluctantly at the door. This time, Qing Er took the initiative to tiptoe and kissed Qin Sheng's lips. Although it was just a light peck, this was the biggest initiative Qing Er had ever taken. Qin Sheng left just like that, taking away Qing Er's heart, which had just warmed up not long ago. She stood at the door and waited for a long time until she could not see Qin Sheng. Then she turned around and went back. On the way to Sinan Road, Qin Sheng finally had time to turn on his phone and reply to Lin Su's messages. Yesterday, Qin Sheng had told Lin Su that Uncle Jiang was back. He came to Middle Huaihai Road to welcome Uncle Jiang back. However, he got drunk and Lin Su called him twice. When Qin Sheng explained to Lin Su, he felt a little guilty. He told her that he had drunk too much last night and slept in Uncle Jiang's house. Lin Su, who had already started working, did not say anything. She only asked Qin Sheng to eat something light to sober up and nourish his stomach. Qin Sheng said that he was going to visit his grandmother now, and it was not too far away. After chatting for a while, they hung up the phone. Lin Su was about to go to a meeting. Qin Sheng had already arrived at the door of his grandmother's house. At the same time, in Third Master Wu's villa in Jing, and Shueke came again with Gu Yongning and Yin Chaozong. After the operation against Bao Fan had failed, Shueke and Gu Yongning were in a bad temper. They insisted on arguing with Third Master Wu and Yin Chaozong. If they could not handle such a simple thing, what was the point of the alliance? Third Master Wu had known that the task had failed long ago. He did not care about it all. Now he was thinking about how to put out the fire in the backyard first. Otherwise, he would really pull the firewood from under the pot. When the two parties came to pick a quarrel, Third Master Wu still treated them politely. He served tea and poured water for them very politely. However, Shueke took the lead and said, "You can't even handle such a simple thing. I really don't know how you have been living these years. Didn't you say that there was no problem? Now, give me a reasonable explanation." Yin Chaozong said disapprovingly, "I have tried my best. The people I sent are all masters. Third Master, you are a little bit dishonest. You only sent a woman and 2 small fries. Otherwise, how could we fail? So, this matter has nothing to do with the Yin family. It's just that Third Master hid his strength." Shueke looked at Third Master Wu and said with a smile, "Third Master, how do you explain this? Feng did not follow them today. He had other things to do. Otherwise, he would definitely quarrel with Liang Yu downstairs. Anyway, every time Feng came here, he would always provoke them." Third Master Wu said disapprovingly, "Shanghai is the territory of the Yin family. It is not wrong for the Yin family to do more. I'm just an outsider. Moreover, you don't ask me why I did this?" Gu Yongning said in front of Good Guy, "Third Master, please tell me. We are allies. If there are difficulties, we can find a way to solve them." Third Master Wu did not hide anything. He said honestly, "My backyard in Zhujiang is on fire. Do you think I still have the mood to take care of Shanghai now? The old monk, that be **starred, took the opportunity when I came to Shanghai and directly started a war with me. I'm a mess now. Which matter do you think I should deal with first? It must be the matter in Zhujiang. That is my base. Otherwise, how could I have the mood to take care of Shanghai?" Shueke frowned and said, "I see. Third Master, what happened to you and the old monk? Didn't you two mind your own business for many years? Why did you suddenly start a fight? This will affect our plan in Shanghai." "You're asking me? I also want to know the answer. If the old monk had not suddenly started a fight, would I have transferred all the manpower back to Zhujiang? Now, I'm even suspecting whether Qin Sheng is behind this. How dare you question me?" Third Master Wu said very impolitely. The last sentence was an unintentional move. He also wanted to change the topic. However, he did not expect that what he said would become a prophecy. Gu Yongning squinted and said, "If Qin Sheng is really playing tricks, we should be careful." At this time, Yin Chaozong stood out and refuted, "It can't be Qin Sheng. The old monk is also Qin Sheng's enemy. At that time, he also participated in the plan to kill Qin Sheng. How could they reconcile so easily? Third Master, you'd better figure it out. Maybe it is your problem. If you can't solve it, you can meet the old monk. As for Yin Chaozong's arrogance in front of him, Third Master Wu suppressed his anger and said directly, "Do I need you to teach me these things? If the old monk was willing to meet me, I would have met him long ago. There is no need for me to wait until now." Gu Yongning said meaningfully, "This is strange. This old monk must have taken the wrong medicine. Isn't he taking advantage of the situation and adding insult to injury?" Of course, he said the latter part to Third Master Wu. At this time, Shui Ku suggested, "Lao Yin, your family is also familiar with the old monk. Why don't your family directly meet the old monk and find out what is going on? If it is just a dispute of interests, it will be easy. If it is something else, we can also find a way to solve it, as long as it does not hinder our plan." Third Master Wu also had the same idea. As expected, Luo Changgong's appointment with the old monk was rejected, which made Third Master Wu feel a headache. He had already prepared to go back to Hangzhou to solve this problem in person. If it is really not possible, he could only take care of the people in Zhujiang first. After all, everything should be done for the sake of the headquarters. Now, after Shui Ku said so, Third Master Wu felt that they could wait until the Yin family met the old monk. It would be best if the Yin family could figure out the reason. If they still could not figure it out, Third Master Wu really could not do anything about it. Gu Yongning also suggested in this way, "Lao Shui is right. Lao Yin, your family can think of a way. For example, your second uncle can go to Hangzhou." Third Master Wu continued to put pressure on them. "Chaozong, we are allies. A friend in need is a friend indeed. What's more, the Yin family only needs to meet the old monk. You don't need to pay any price. What do you think?" Since both sides had said so, Yin Chaozong had no other way. He could only say, "I will go back tonight and discuss it with second uncle. I will tell you the result later." The sun rose and set in the west. A day passed quickly. Shanghai was bustling at any time. However, some remote places were not bustling at all. For example, the Shishan villa where the old master of the Yin family lived was relatively quiet at night. Although the people who lived here were all rich people, most of the villas here were empty all year round. Many rich people bought villas here either for investment or for a weekend vacation. However, how could they have so much free time? Tonight, the second elder of the Yin family came back to see the old master. After they talked about many things, they prepared to go back to the downtown overnight. Tomorrow, they would meet a few friends to discuss the investment. When the second elder of the Yin family went out to get in the car and was about to leave, a man who had been hiding in the forest for a long time suddenly rushed out. This man only wore a sun hat and a mask. He went straight to the second elder of the Yin family. This man was Chang Baji, who had disappeared for 2 days. This time, his target was the second elder of the Yin family. This was the price that the Yin family had to pay. The trusted subordinate of the second elder of the Yin family was Hulan, who had fought all the way from Inner Mongolia to Shanghai. He was good at martial arts. However, it was a pity that Hulan was already sitting in the passenger seat. The second elder of the Yin family was about to get in the car with the second elder of the Yin family. They did not expect this sudden change at all. Chang Baji's timing was very accurate. He took action after Hulan got in the car. He was extremely fast, like a bolt of lightning. Even if Hulan reacted quickly, he would not be able to stop him at all. If the driver had reacted quickly, he might have been able to stop Chang Baji for 1 or 2 seconds. It was a pity that the driver was used to living a comfortable life. Since he had been the driver of the second elder of the Yin family, such a sudden situation had never happened. Who dared to attack the Yin family, let alone the second elder of the Yin family, who was in power now? Moreover, they were at the gate of the Yin family's villa tonight. Who would have thought that there would be such a crisis? The driver did not notice it at all. When he came to his senses, Chang Baji had already arrived in front of the second elder of the Yin family. After all, the second elder of the Yin family was a big shot who had experienced many hardships. Otherwise, how could he be sitting in this position? His intuition toward danger was very sensitive and accurate. When Chang Baji appeared, he turned around subconsciously. However, it was a pity that he was just an ordinary person and did not have martial arts skills like Bao Fan. Consequently, it was too late for him to run away, even if he wanted to. In this way, when the second elder of the Yin family, who was over 40 years old, wanted to move, he was directly kicked over by Chang Baji, who had already arrived in front of him. His head even smashed into the car, and a deep pit appeared on the car. It could be imagined how domineering Chang Baji was this time. No one would have thought that the second elder of the Yin family would be attacked at the gate of the Yin family's villa and be killed in front of him, just like that. This was Qin Sheng's response to the Yin family. This was Qin Sheng's revenge. An eye for an eye. Click here to enter. Chapter 749. As Qin Sheng had said before, he had always been afraid of making too much noise in Shanghai, which would affect the situation of the old man in Beijing. In that case, the loss would outweigh the gain. After all, the old man's situation was already very difficult. However, Shui Ku, Gu Yongning, and the Yin family were too unscrupulous. They took advantage of the Qin family's current situation on purpose. It seemed that they had predicted that Qin Sheng would not dare to act recklessly. Some time ago, when Hao Lei was attacked and seriously injured, Qin Sheng was ready to fight back strongly. He directly responded to Shui Ku and Gu Yongning's car accident. However, when he was ready to fight back against the Yin family, the Qin family situation suddenly worsened again, which made Qin Sheng dare not take action. In addition, Qin Sheng's focus was on Hangzhou, thinking about how to contain and deal with Third Master Wu, which gave the Yin family another chance. Now, the Yin family took action again. This time, their target was actually Qin Sheng's core figure in Shanghai, Bao Fan. Fortunately, Bao Fan escaped in the end, but Qin Sheng could not bear it anymore. Let's see who would end up in a difficult situation in the end. That was why he made the plan tonight. The first target was the Yin family's real power holder, second Uncle Yin. Yin Xiaozong was just a junior in the Yin family. If they really wanted to suppress the Yin family, second Uncle Yin would be the best candidate. Therefore, Qin Sheng's first target was second Uncle Yin. He asked Chang Baji to take action personally. He wanted to hit the target in one strike, so that the Yin family would not have any chance to fight back. The Yin family was the local snake in Shanghai, but they were not the kind of big family that could cover the sky with one hand. If the Yin family could turn the clouds and rain with one turn of the hand in Shanghai, they would definitely be a role that even the Qin family would be afraid of. After all, one must know the status and influence of Shanghai. However, in recent years, few people were willing to provoke the Yin family. The Yin family was used to being domineering, and there had never been any accidents. Therefore, second Uncle Yin only brought his trusted bodyguard and driver every time he went out. He would not be so deliberate unless it was an important occasion. Moreover, this was Shanghai, so he was not worried about anything. However, Chang Baji had taught the Yin family a lesson tonight. They wouldn't dare to drag things out like this in the future, because no one would have thought that someone would dare to make a move in front of the Yin family's villa. How much confidence did he have? Wasn't he just sending himself to death? Before the driver could react, Chang Baji's sudden attack had already seriously injured the second son of the Yin family. Two of his ribs were broken by this kick. Blood instantly flowed out of his mouth. He was in unbearable pain and was stunned. Only then did the driver come back to his senses. He hurriedly fought back, but the difference in strength was too big. He was knocked to the ground by Chang Baji's two punches the moment he attacked, and he immediately fainted. The second son of the Yin clan realized the danger and realized the power of this uninvited guest. He instinctively wanted to save his life and escape. Unfortunately, Chang Baji did not give him the chance. He grabbed the second son of the Yin clan again and threw him over his shoulder. He landed heavily on the main door of the Yin clan and fell to the ground with a bang. The whole process only took a few seconds. No matter how fast Hulan, who was sitting in the passenger seat, reacted, he had to open the car door and get out to stop Chang Baji. This space was Chang Baji's chance. When he saw Chang Baji suddenly appear in the rearview mirror, it was already too late. Hulan turned pale with fright. He opened the car door hurriedly and got out of the car. If something happened to his boss in front of his house, it would be a big joke. As the trusted bodyguards of the Yin family, they could all die together. They would be so disgraced. Therefore, when Chang Baji wanted to go further and fight again, Hulan finally stopped Chang Baji. Hulan, who was in a rage, did not care about anything else at this moment. He only had one goal, which was to kill this uninvited guest. Otherwise, he could retire and go back to his hometown. Hulan roared and kicked at Chang Baji. This kick was so powerful that it seemed that Chang Baji would be crippled directly. Chang Baji moved sideways and dodged it. Hulan's kick landed on second Uncle Yan's Maybach directly. With a bang, a deep hit was made. Hulan followed closely. Hulan got closer and threw several consecutive punches toward Chang Baji's face. His punches were domineering and came from tricky angles, forcing Chang Baji to retreat a few steps. Hulan's aura was like a rainbow. He wanted to go straight to Jiangling in one go and make sure that Chang Baji wouldn't be able to return tonight. Hulan exerted strength on the soles of his feet and lifted his knee abruptly to hit Chang Baji directly. Chang Baji hurriedly blocked Hulan's knee with his arms. After Hulan landed on the ground, he jumped up again and directly swung his arm in a circle. He wanted to smash Chang Baji into the ground with one arm. It could be seen how powerful this arm was. He chose the right time and did not give Chang Baji any chance to dodge at all. Unless Chang Baji resisted it forcefully, he would definitely be injured. However, he underestimated Chang Baji. Chang Baji was not an ordinary person. If he were an ordinary person, he would not dare to visit the Yin family at night. If he were an ordinary person, he would probably have been killed by Hulan in a second. Chang Baji had already realized how powerful Hulan was. He also felt the threat of Hulan's arm. Therefore, he twisted his body away forcefully. Hulan's arm almost brushed past Chang Baji's shoulder. If it had hit Chang Baji's shoulder, Chang Baji's arm would have been crippled. In the end, Hulan's arm hit the Maybach again. With a bang, the poor Maybach was smashed into a deep pit by Hulan again. This time, the sound was even more deafening. The noise outside had already alerted the bodyguards of the Yin family inside. They rushed out without hesitation. Actually, Chang Baji's task had been completed. He also realized that it was time for him to leave. If he did not leave now, he would not be able to leave safely. It would not take long for the security guards of the housing estate to arrive. At that time, the noise would be too big. Consequently, Chang Baji did not hide his strength anymore. After Hulan's arm hit nothing, he suddenly did not retreat. Instead, he bumped into Hulan with his shoulder, which made Hulan take a few steps back directly. It did not occur to Hulan that this man could still be so arrogant at this moment. When he wanted to fight with Chang Baji again, Chang Baji turned around and ran away as fast as he had been when he had rushed out just now. He did not give anyone any chance at all. Hulan shouted loudly, "Want to leave?" After Hulan finished speaking, he chased after Chang Baji. He would not let this man escape tonight, even if he had to risk his life. Otherwise, he would not be able to explain to the Yin family. However, before Hulan left, he did not forget to shout to the bodyguards who had been driven out by the Yin family, "Take care of the boss." In this way, Chang Baji and Hulan disappeared in the darkness of the night at the same time, leaving the bodyguards of the Yin family in a flurry behind them. At this moment, the second elder of the Yin family had already passed out. The blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth was shocking. In any case, Bao Fan had experienced these moments of life and death together with Qin Chang'an in the past. However, the second elder of the Yin family had not experienced this at all. What he had experienced was totally different. The group of bodyguards looked at each other and did not know what to do. It was not until the man in charge of the Yin family came out that he shouted, "Damn it! What are you waiting for? Call an ambulance." However, the supervisor came back to his senses in an instant. It was too late to call an ambulance. If something really happened, no one could afford to delay it. So he could only ask the bodyguards to carry second uncle into the car and send him to the nearest hospital. The nearest hospital was a high-end private hospital. After all, only rich people lived in Shishan. The commotion outside also alerted Old Master Yin, who was about to rest. After the person in charge of the Yin clan's villa made arrangements for second uncle, he hurriedly ran up to the second floor to report to old Master Yin. How could he dare to conceal such a major incident? Why are you in such a panic? What's going on outside? Old Master Yin frowned. Something must have happened for such a ruckus. The man in charge of the Yin family's villa replied in a trembling voice, "Old Master, something bad has happened. Something bad has happened." "What happened? Why are you in such a hurry?" "Speak slowly," Old Master Yin scolded. The man said in a panic, "Something happened to second uncle. Just now, when second uncle was about to leave, a killer suddenly rushed out and injured second uncle. Second uncle is now unconscious and is being sent to the hospital. On the way to the hospital." Upon hearing this, old Master Yan's heart skipped a beat. However, he quickly calmed down and said calmly, "Oh, I thought it was a big deal. As long as he's not dead, that's good. Call Chaozong and let him handle it." Old Master Yan's casual attitude made the man's jaw drop. "Oh my God! Old Master, this is your son, and he almost died. Why do you act as if nothing has happened to you? It's as if this matter has nothing to do with you." Old Master Yin seemed to feel that the man was strange. He snorted and said, "What? Do you really think that the Yin family is the king? The Yin family is allowed to make trouble for others, but others are not allowed to take revenge on the Yin family? How can there be such a rule in the world?" Yes. You're right. I'll call Chao Zhong right now." The man nodded speechlessly. He did not dare to say anything more to the old master and left the room in a hurry. Old Master Yin had experienced all kinds of things at his age. If he could not accept this, he would have lived like a dog for so many years. He had handed over the Yin family to his children and grandchildren. It was their business how they ran the family. The mistakes they made, the debts they owed, and the things they did would be borne by them eventually. He could not do anything about it, even if he did not want to. Even if his second son died at his doorstep today, he would only be a little sad. But he could still understand the reason behind it. He would not blame others or God. This was old Master Yin. He could do anything. Otherwise, the Yin family would not be able to develop completely under his leadership. Otherwise, the Yin family would not be where it was today. In a jazz bar by the Huangpu River, Yin Chaozong would make time every week to listen to songs as long as the beautiful lead singer was there. Of course, sometimes he would be too busy to have time. After all, he had been troubled by Qin Sheng recently and had to deal with the company's affairs. After all, he was also a human with limited energy. He did not have 3 heads and 6 arms. As soon as Yin Chaozong sat down, the beautiful lead singer saw him. She smiled and nodded to greet him, but the joy in her eyes could not be concealed. Yin Chaozong casually ordered a glass of whiskey and sat there to listen to the beautiful lead singer sing. Her voice was really beautiful. As for the bet, no surprise, Yin Chaozong won. With his strength and experience, how could this beautiful woman be a match for him? However, Yin Chaozong deliberately chose to lose. After knowing that the beautiful lead singer had fallen in love with him, Yin Chaozong still continued to fish. His goal was to make this beautiful woman completely fall for him and then take her down in one go. This was what a real master was like. The beautiful lead singer finished the song and was about to come down to greet Yin Chaozong. Yin Chaozong had completely conquered her, making her unable to stop. She thought about this man the most every day, but this man was still as indifferent as before. He did not launch a fierce attack on her, which made her feel very tormented. She had told herself that as long as this man confessed to her, she would not hesitate to agree and then become his girlfriend. However, it seemed that he did not have this intention. She was very conflicted, very anxious, and very worried about gains and losses. In love, no matter whether it was a man or a woman, as long as they liked someone, their imagination would run wild and they would worry about gains and losses. Unless they were together every day, as long as they were separated for a second, they would be like this. Yin Chaozong also saw the beautiful lead singer walking over. At this time, his cell phone suddenly rang. The number was an acquaintance. Yin Chaozong did not think much and picked it up. After the phone was picked up, the man shouted, "Chaozong, come back quickly." Something big happened. Your second uncle is in big trouble. When Yin Xiaozong heard this, his mind instantly went blank. His face was extremely ugly. He had never looked so ugly before. After the man finished telling him what was going on, Yin Xiaozong's whole body was almost trembling. He hung up the phone without hesitation, turned around, and ran out of the bar. Everyone in the bar looked at Yin Xiaozong with a puzzled face. They did not know what had happened, including the beautiful lead singer. Baidu search 881 Chinese net yen. No advertising words. Chapter 750. Are you feeling hot? Second uncle was attacked and seriously injured in front of the Yin family's villa. He was on the way to the hospital, and his condition was unknown. How could Yin Xiaozong not be shocked after hearing the news? Second uncle was the pillar of the Yin family and was responsible for everything. If something really happened to second uncle, what would happen to the Yin family? His grandfather had not been involved in the affairs of the world for many years. All the resources had been handed over to second uncle. His father lived a leisurely life and did not worry about the affairs of the Yin family at all. When the time came, he would have to take over. Could he bear the pressure? Yin Xiaozong was a little panicked. He didn't expect that he would be like this. Yin Xiaozong didn't have time to think about who the real culprit was. He just wanted to pray that second uncle was safe and the rest could be discussed later. Therefore, Yin Xiaozong ran out of the bar without saying goodbye to the beautiful lead singer. After getting in the car, he almost shouted at the driver to go to Shishan. The beautiful lead singer had never seen Yin Xiaozong lose his composure like this. Her smile had disappeared, and she didn't know what to do. She wanted to call Yin Xiaozong, but was afraid that it was not the right time. So she didn't want to sing anymore. She just sat in Yin Xiaozong's seat and drank. She was worried about Yin Xiaozong and hoped that he was fine. Second uncle, Yin, was suddenly attacked. The Yin family was in a mess. Only the old master of the Yin family remained unmoved. It was as if the one who was attacked wasn't his son. He left everything to Yin Xiaozong to handle. It could be considered a test for his grandson. Qin Sheng knew what would happen today. He got off work early and went home. First, he went to the supermarket to buy groceries. Then he went home to cook for his wife. When he was almost done, he called Lin Su and asked her to go home. Lin Su didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She didn't expect Qin Sheng to do this. Of course, she didn't refuse. She put down everything and went home on time. When she got home, Qin Sheng had already prepared dinner. He put on candles and wine in a romantic way. Of course, he bought 99 roses and the gifts he picked at the Five Countries Gold Center in the afternoon. Lin Su didn't know why Qin Sheng didn't let her in after he opened the door. He just smiled and said, "Close your eyes first." Lin Su was amused. "What are you doing?" "You'll know in a while." Qin Sheng deliberately kept her guessing. Just like that, Qin Sheng held Lin Su's hand, and they walked to the dining room step by step. When Qin Sheng said that she could open her eyes, Lin Su slowly opened her eyes and saw everything that Qin Sheng had prepared. Lin Su had seen it in movies and on TV. She had also heard about it from her friends, but she had never experienced it. Lin Su, who had always been rational, came back to her senses. She patted Qin Sheng lightly and said, "What are you doing? You are wasting money." However, anyone could tell that Lin Su was touched and happy. No matter how rational a woman was, she liked romance and would be touched by it. It was just that different women had different understandings of romance. "Honey, you've worked hard." Qin Sheng did not care about Lin Su's words. She had always been like this. Sometimes, she did not know how to express her feelings. At this time, Qin Sheng also took out the ring he had bought from the Guijin Center. It was not a diamond ring with a few carats. It was just an ordinary, good-looking ring. Of course, a diamond ring would only be given to him when he got married. "I haven't given you any gifts. When I saw your bare hand, I thought, how can such a beautiful hand be missing a ring? So I went to buy one today. Do you like it?" Qin Sheng said very gently. That day when Lin Su came back from her grandmother's house and said that her grandmother had given her mother a bracelet, Qin Sheng had been thinking about it. Today, he finally found time to do it. Lin Su was touched again. It was not that she could not afford a ring. With her current wealth, what kind of ring could she not afford? However, The ring she was going to wear was naturally given by someone she liked. Lin Su said with red eyes, "You're so annoying. You made me cry. Why are you suddenly so romantic? Do you like it? If you don't, I'll go and get another one tomorrow. If you like it, I'll put it on for you," Qin Sheng said with a cheeky smile. Although Lin Su had always said that they had been together for a long time, sometimes Qin Sheng felt that there was no need to be so deliberate on these things. But later, he realized that romance had nothing to do with the length of time. Romance was related to liking and deep love. It depended on whether you were willing to do it or not. As long as you did it, your other half would naturally like it. Of course, Lin Su replied, "I like it." Qin Sheng was very satisfied and put on Lin Su. He did not want to put it on the ring finger, thinking that it was a place to wear when they got married. However, Lin Su insisted with a smile, "Ring finger." Qin Sheng was stunned for a moment, and then instantly understood what Lin Su meant. He did not refuse and put it on the ring finger. When they got married, they could get another ring. After that, Qin Sheng kissed Lin Su's ring finger. It was like a proposal, but it was not a proposal. If it was a proposal, Lin Su would have been so moved that she would have burst into tears. But this was enough for tonight. After Qin Sheng got up, Lin Su took the initiative to hug Qin Sheng and gave him a sweet kiss. They hugged and kissed each other romantically until both of them were out of breath. After they separated, Qin Sheng pulled Lin Su and said, "Okay, let's eat. The food is getting cold. These are all my specialties." Lin Su then followed Qin Sheng into the restaurant. This little romance tonight could make Lin Su happy for many days. Actually, she was quite simple. A little romance would make her satisfied. At this moment, Qin Sheng only wanted to spend this romantic night with Lin Su. He did not want to think about what was going on outside at all. But those things were still happening. While Changbaji was being chased by Hulan, in another place, a plan that had been planned for a long time was also being carried out. However, compared to Changbaji's difficulty, the plan here was somewhat easier. But it had to be finished in the shortest time possible. Xueku and Gu Yoning finally recovered from the car accident some time ago. Now, Xueku could be considered to have taken root in Shanghai. He ate and drank happily every day. Anyway, Gu Yoning would pay for everything. Gu Yoning was fine. The Gu family had many businesses in Shanghai. During this period, he had been getting in touch with these businesses. At the same time, he chose some investment projects. Anyway, since he had nothing to do, he could earn as much as he could. Xueku and Gu Yoning finished their dinner in a square. There were open-air food stalls everywhere. Xueku and Gu Yoning invited 2 friends. At the same time, they were accompanied by a few beautiful women. Their life in Shanghai was like having fun every night. There were countless beautiful women around them. Xueku had a powerful background, and Gu Yoning was rich. At the same time, they knew many rich playboys. These rich playboys never lacked beautiful women around them. Gradually, many beautiful women took the initiative to come to them like moths to a flame. Of course, those beautiful women who wanted to catch a rich husband did not know that these two were already married. But even if they knew, they might not give up. Who did not want to fly up the branches and become a phoenix? During dinner, Xueku and Gu Yoning drank a lot with their 2 friends and a few beautiful women. After paying the bill, they went to the parking lot and prepared to find another place to continue drinking. In Beijing, they might have to consider the influence, and sometimes they would restrain themselves. However, in Shanghai, they were somewhat unscrupulous. They did not care so much. As long as they were having fun, who could control them? The parking lot of this food stall square was behind square. Because the business here was very hot all year round, the parking lot was very large. It was full of cars, not to mention that it was summer. It was just that it was darker here at night. Xueku and Gu Yoning walked to the intersection of the parking lot, talking and laughing with others. They stood there and waited for their driver to pick them up. When they came out, they called the driver. At this time, a man wearing a cap came out from behind 2 Land Cruisers. This man had been waiting all night. He knew that this was the best opportunity to make a move. It just depended on whether the other party would give him a chance or not. If it did not give him a chance, it did not matter. He could find another opportunity. Anyway, He did not believe that they would not give him a chance for a few days and nights. Fortunately, they really gave him a chance. Of course, he did not want to miss it. He definitely wanted to teach them a good lesson. He could only say that they were too unlucky. This man was none other than Yang Dainyu, who had disappeared for 2 days. Changbaji's target was second uncle Yin, while Yang Dainyu's target was Shueku and Gu Yoning. Qin Sheng's meaning was very obvious. It was impossible to kill people here, but they had to pay a painful price. He had to let them know that Shanghai was not a good place. If they knew what was good for them, they should go back to Beijing as soon as possible. Since they did not take the car accident seriously last time, he had to be ruthless today. Yang Dainyu also knew how to do it. For example, he would let them have a taste of what they had done to Hao Lei. He would let them be seriously injured and lie in bed for a few months, or slowly recover with broken arms and legs. Shueku and Gu Yongning did not realize the approaching danger at all. Shueku was still bragging and shouting, "Lao Zhao, let's not go home until we are drunk tonight. I also know your relationship with the Lu and the others. In the future, when you go to Beijing, just look for us. For things that might be difficult for you to do, we just say hello and call you uncle. Or at least, the elders in our family will come out and treat you to a meal." Look, our eldest young master Shui was so arrogant. It seemed that his family in Beijing had the final say. It was estimated that even a rich playboy like Song Hushing would not dare to say something like this. Sure enough, most men who were drunk were the same. This rich second generation, surnamed Zhao, did not take Shueke's word seriously. He knew that Shueke was drunk, but there were some things that these two playboys could still do. Otherwise, why would he entertain them these days? He was very clear about their background. At this time, Yang Dainyu had already walked out from the other side. He lowered his head and walked forward at a moderate pace. He was not in a hurry to make a move. When he was about to walk in front of Shueku and Gu Yongning, a beautiful woman saw Yang Dainyu and said casually, "This man is really strange. He is wearing a hat and a mask in the middle of the night. Doesn't he feel hot in the summer?" Shueke had really drunk a lot tonight. At this time, he was also drunk. He shouted somewhat unscrupulously, "Bro, are you hot?" At this time, Yang Dainyu had also walked to a place 2 meters away from them. After hearing this, Yang Dainyu was somewhat speechless. After all, he had seen people who were seeking death, but he had never seen someone who was seeking death in such a way. He was really deliberately looking for trouble. There was a road to heaven, but you did not take it. There was no door to hell, but you insisted on breaking through. Then don't blame me for what I will do. Yang Dainyu stopped walking and raised his head slightly to look at Shueku and the others. Just when Shueku and the others were about to continue to tease him, Yang Dainyu suddenly exerted his strength and rushed over. The group of drunk men and women did not understand what was going on at all. When they came to their senses, Yang Dainyu had already rushed in front of them. With one kick, he sent Shueku, who had just provoked him, flying out and directly fell into a car next to him. It could be seen that Yang Dainyu had used a lot of strength. Only then did everyone turn pale with fright. Baidu, search 881 Chinese net yen. No advertising words. Chapter 751. That was my response. Changbaji's target was second uncle Yin. He had accomplished his task successfully, but he had not retreated. Now, he was being chased by Hulan. Yang Dainyu's target was Shueku and Gu Yongning, which were much easier. These two rich playboys had not learned their lesson from the car accident last time. They were still so unscrupulous and thought that Yang Dainyu dared not do anything to them. Indeed, Yang Dainyu dared not and could not kill them, but he could make them lie in bed for a few months. Therefore, Yang Dainyu attacked them tonight. Shueku and Gu Yongning almost had fun every night in Shanghai. They had rested for a few days after the car accident and resumed their previous life, which gave Yang Dainyu a chance. It was okay to drink too much and boast. However, it was wrong to provoke others when you were drunk. Moreover, Yang Dainyu was the one who wanted to make trouble for you. Even if you did not meet Yang Dainyu today, you would be in danger if you met some bad-tempered outlaws. Therefore, as a man, you'd better keep a low profile. Don't take advantage of your family background. If you drink too much, You would be lawless and could solve any big problems. Then, you would not be far away from death. The group of people had drunk too much. Even if they were sober, they would never expect such an unforeseen event to happen. This man, who was wearing a cap and a mask, directly attacked them. They did not know that Yang Dainyu was coming for them at all. They thought that Shueku's provocation made the man angry. In this way, Shueku, who was extremely arrogant just now, was kicked away by Yang Dainyu. He hit the car next to him hard. The car was hit so hard that it made a beeping sound. The others were so shocked that they had not come to their senses yet. Shueku didn't expect things to turn out like this. He didn't expect that the man would come for him just because he made a joke. Shueku felt like his internal organs were about to come out. He lay on the ground and moaned in pain. He regretted his provocation just now. However, Shueku still thought that he would not let it go. How dare you hit me? Do you know who I am? I will make you beg for death. I will make you pay 100 times the price. Unfortunately, Shueku's thoughts were utterly unable to be realized, and he didn't have the time to realize them. Because Yang Dainyu didn't stop just like that, and he charged over once more. In his eyes, Shueku was like a weak child. Yang Dainyu kicked Shueku like a little chick without any effort. He punched Shueku's face and body several times in a row, knocking Shueku out. In the end, he twisted Shueku's arm forcefully and broke Shueku's leg with a kick. It could be seen how ruthless Yang Dainyu was. He did not show any mercy at all. Everything happened in just a few dozen seconds. Yang Dainyu's attack was not sloppy at all. Without any nonsense, he just attacked again and again. When Gu Yongning and the others came back to their senses, it was all over. But how could Gu Yongning and the others just let it go? Although they realized that this man was terrible, their drunk brains didn't think much about it. They just wanted to help Shueku. They couldn't just let it go. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be friends in the future. Therefore, the three men, including Gu Yongning, came to their deaths together. They kept cursing. No one knew whether they were cheering themselves on or deliberately doing it for others to see. As for those beauties, they were scared silly. When they came back to their senses, they began to scream and shout for help. Yang Dainyu couldn't have asked for more. Even if Gu Yongning didn't stand up for Shueku, Yang Dainyu would come to him. After all, there were two targets tonight. Shueku had already been dealt with. Next, it was Gu Yongning. The three men were already drunk. Even if they weren't drunk, they wouldn't be Yang Dainyu's opponents. This was a complete crushing. The difference in strength was like heaven and earth. No wonder Yang Dainyu was much more relaxed than Chambaji. When Gu Yongning's two friends came over, they were directly knocked down by Yang Dainyu. They didn't have any chance to fight back. When it was Gu Yongning's turn, Yang Dainyu wouldn't let him go so easily. Gu Yongning just raised his arm, and his wrist was directly grabbed by Yang Dainyu. He couldn't move at all. Yang Dainyu didn't give Gu Yongning any chance. His other hand continuously punched Gu Yongning's chest. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. Finally, Yang Dainyu hit Gu Yongning's face with his elbow. Gu Yongning's handsome face was directly disfigured by Yang Dainyu. Blood gushed out from his mouth and nose at the same time. A few teeth could be seen flying in the air. The screams of the beauties were getting louder and louder. It had attracted a lot of people's attention. Yang Dainyu knew that it was almost time. He couldn't continue to stay here. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be able to leave later. Therefore, just like with Shueku, Yang Dainyu didn't show mercy and let Gu Yongning go easily. He didn't even think about it. He twisted Gu Yongning's arm and kicked his leg. Finally, he knocked Gu Yongning out with his shoulder. Then, Yang Dainyu turned around and ran away without hesitation. The beauties were completely driven crazy by what happened in a short period of time. They screamed at the top of their lungs. Many people dared to come over, including the drivers who had already driven over to pick them up. Before leaving, Yang Dainyu didn't forget to stare at the beauties. The beauties thought that Yang Dainyu was going to hit them. They were so scared that they took a few steps back. But when they came back to their senses, Yang Dainyu had already disappeared into the parking lot. The two men who were beaten by Yang Dainyu were completely panicked. They were about to get up and continue to hit Yang Dainyu, but the man had already run away. Now, they didn't know what to do, because Xueku and Gu Yongning had already fainted on the ground. More and more people gathered around. When Xueku and Gu Yongning's driver arrived, he was also shocked by the scene in front of him. What the hell happened? After coming back to their senses, everyone hurriedly carried Xueku and Gu Yongning into the car and rushed to the nearest hospital. At the same time, the driver called the elders of the Gu family, because the two drivers were arranged by the Gu family. The Yin family was in a mess. The Shui and Gu families were destined to be badly battered by tonight's incident. They might even have to send people from Beijing to deal with tonight's incident. Meanwhile, the initiator of all this was eating a candlelit dinner with his wife at the moment, as if nothing had happened. It was the same. When they dealt with Qin Sheng's side, didn't Qin Sheng's side also suffer a lot? They owed Qin Sheng. Now it was time for them to pay back. In Xishan, after Chang Baji ran all the way out of the villa community, he went into Xishan. Hulan chased after him closely and didn't intend to give up at all. Anyway, he wanted to make Chang Baji stay. Chang Baji's speed and endurance were not comparable to that of ordinary people. However, Hulan, who was born in the Inner Mongolia Prairie, was not weaker than Chang Baji at all. Both of them played a big game of chasing and running. In the end, Chang Baji escaped successfully in Xishan, taking advantage of his experience in the mountainous terrain. Hulan had to give up. Looking around, he couldn't see Chang Baji anymore. He could only stand there, panting. Meanwhile, he had a belly full of anger in his heart that he couldn't vent. It was so frustrating. He was too ashamed to go back. How could he explain to the Yin family? However, what could he do? Chang Baji had already run away. If he didn't go back, should he just stand there in a daze? Outside the ward of the high-end private hospital in Xishan, Yin Xiaozong had already rushed over. At the same time, several leaders of the Yin family also arrived. Everyone was waiting for the result anxiously. Meanwhile, they were discussing the possible influence of this matter on the Yin family, including how to announce the news to the public. After all, the Yin family had a listed company. Such a big matter had to be reported. The hospital had already gone all out. They had sent the strongest doctors and invited several experts from the city hospitals for consultation. The Yin family did have such power. At this moment, Yin Xiaozong was so angry that he scolded the bodyguards of the Yin family in the corridor outside. The driver, who had already woken up, was slapped twice by Yin Xiaozong. Yin Xiaozong scolded him as a good-for-nothing and even asked him to pack up and go home. "Where is Hulan? Where is Hulan?" Yin Xiaozong asked loudly. The bodyguard of the Yin family replied in a trembling voice. Hulan went to chase after the murderer. He hasn't come back yet. Tell him that if he can't catch the murderer, he should never come back. Yin Xiaozong gnashed his teeth and shouted, regardless of the fact that he was in the hospital. At this moment, Hulan arrived at the hospital and happened to hear Yin Xiaozong's words. He was the trusted subordinate of second uncle of Yin Xiaozong, but he was not Yin Xiaozong's subordinate. Based on his temper, he did not take Yin Xiaozong seriously at all. Unless Yin Xiaozong became the leader of the Yin family one day, he would probably go home and retire at that time. After Hulan came in, he replied directly, "I'm here." Yin Xiaozong walked over quickly. His eyes seemed to be able to spurt fire. He asked gloomily, "Did you catch the murderer?" "No. The murderer was very powerful. I was not as good as him and let him escape." Hulan blamed himself a little. This was indeed a problem of his ability. He would never run away. Usually, Yin Xiaozong respected Hulan very much because Hulan had a high status in the Yin family. However, today such a big thing had happened to second uncle. As his trusted subordinate and personal bodyguard, Hulan had failed to stop the murderer, not to mention that the murderer had even escaped in the end. Consequently, Yin Xiaozong did not care about respecting Hulan anymore. He shouted directly, "How dare you come back?" Yin Xiaozong dared to scold Hulan like this because no matter how powerful Hulan was, he was still a dog of the Yin family. Yin Xiaozong, whose surname was Yin, was the future master of the Yin family. Yin Xiaozong had never treated Hulan like this. Upon hearing this, Hulan's expression changed instantly. He stared at Yin Xiaozong and did not take him seriously at all. "What are you looking at? What? Do you want to fight?" Yin Xiaozong asked fearlessly. At this moment, The other leaders of the Yin family hurried over and pulled them apart. They were afraid that they would really fight. At the same time, they comforted them. In the central apartment of Lu Jiazui, Qin Sheng and Lin Su's candlelight dinner was not over yet. In the central apartment of Lu Jiazui, Qin Sheng and Lin Su's candlelight dinner had not ended yet. It was so romantic and comfortable tonight. Qin Sheng and Lin Su talked about many things. They talked about how they had met in the past, their trip in Sichuan, their reunion, Qin Sheng's pursuit of Lin Su, and their lives in Xiamen and Hangzhou. It seemed that they had endless things to talk about. At this moment, Qin Sheng's phone rang again. When it rang just now, Qin Sheng did not answer it. He did not want to disturb such an atmosphere. However, he had to answer it this time. The two calls indicated that the matter was more important. After the call was put through, Qin Sheng listened to the message on the phone calmly. Then, he said, "Okay, I got it." After that, he hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Qin Sheng was in a better mood. He thought, "Aren't you very unscrupulous?" This is my response. Reading at midnight. Chapter 752, Rising Winds and Scudding Clouds. This call was made by Bao Fan, who was in charge of the Central Command. This time, Bao Fan was in charge of all the intelligence and logistical cooperation. Chang Baji and Daniyu were in charge of the execution. Qin Sheng did not participate in anything at all. He just let them do what they wanted. In the end, they did not let Qin Sheng down. Next, Qin Sheng had to wait for the response from all parties and their revenge. If it was beyond his ability, Qin Sheng would naturally have to communicate with the old man. After finishing these two things today, Qin Sheng was in a very good mood. This should be the fiercest counterattack since he returned to Shanghai, which allowed him to vent his anger. "What's wrong? Why are you so happy?" Lin Su, who was sitting opposite Qin Sheng, could not help but ask. She saw that Qin Sheng was in a daze after answering the phone, with a smile on his face. Qin Sheng came back to his senses and smiled. "Nothing. Brother Bao called and told me some good news." Lin Su did not ask what the news was. She knew about Qin Sheng's things, but she never asked because she could not help him at all. "By the way, how is your brother doing these days?" Qin Sheng asked casually. He knew that Lin Zhe had started to be Lin Su's assistant. Qin Sheng did not know if this playboy, who used to be the general manager of another company under the Lin family, could get used to being Lin Su's assistant. Lin Su took a sip of red wine and answered honestly, "At the beginning, he did well. But I don't know what will happen in the future. Anyway, I don't have any hope. I only give him one chance." "Then let's wait and see," Qin Sheng replied with a smile. After talking about this, Qin Sheng and Lin Su continued to live in their own world. No one would disturb them and let the outside world be a mess. Shueku and Gu Yongning were sent to the hospital for the second time in a month. It had to be said that they were not very lucky. When they came to Shanghai, they should have asked a master to tell whether this trip was a good or bad one, and whether they would be in conflict with Shanghai. Maybe there would not be such an unforeseen event today. Compared with the warning last time, they were not so lucky this time. This time, they would not be able to get out of bed unless they stayed in the hospital for half a year. Young Daniyu was fierce. They would remember the broken arms and legs. Of course, they were not disabled for life. Otherwise, they would be driven to desperate measures. In the private hospital in Xishan, Yin Chaozong finally calmed down and was not as violent as before. He took the initiative to apologize to Hulan and said, "I'm sorry. I lost my manners just now. Don't take it to heart. I didn't mean anything." Although Yin Chaozong's words were somewhat stiff, as the successor of the Yin family, he had already shown his attitude by taking the initiative to apologize. Hulan did not put on airs. He replied, "Young master, you don't have to apologize to me. I admit that I'm incompetent. I failed to protect boss and catch the murderer tonight. After boss is safe and sound, I will take the initiative to resign." Yin Chaozong had given him enough face. Of course, Hulan had to express his attitude. He was really disgraced tonight. His big boss was seriously injured in front of him. In the end, the murderer ran away. He did not stop the murderer or catch the murderer. How could he keep a foothold in the Yin family in the future? Therefore, no matter what the final result was, he would definitely resign after his big boss woke up. This was his way out of the embarrassment. It was also what he had to do. Of course, he was also clear that the Yin family might not agree. After all, he had been in the Yin family for so many years. Even if he did not make any contributions, he had worked hard. The Yin family would not really blame him for this. However, he had to do this. Whether Hulan was really going to do this or he was just pretending, Yin Xiaozong had to persuade him to stay. He said in a low voice, "Brother Hu, it's not your fault tonight." The murderer came prepared. Even if he didn't come tonight, he would definitely come tomorrow night. You don't need to blame yourself. Moreover, it's not the time to talk about this now. What we need to do now is to find the murderer behind the scenes. Hulan nodded silently. Then he said firmly, "Young master, we can talk about other things after my big boss wakes up. As you said, we must find the murderer behind the scenes and avenge my big boss. Young master, just tell me what to do. I will not say no." However, the situation was different today. Yin Xiaozong said in a deep voice, "You don't have to worry about the hospital. I will stay in the hospital these days. You will be in charge of tracking down the murderer. Feng He will cooperate with you. You can use all the resources of the Yin family at will until you find the murderer." Yin Xiaozong said in a low voice, "You don't have to worry about the hospital." Hulan patted his chest as he said, "Young master, don't worry. I will definitely do my best. Once I find the murderer, I will kill him with my own hands." After Hulan finished speaking, he left immediately. Feng He was already waiting outside. He had been in the Yin family for so many years and was the trusted subordinate of second Uncle Yin. Of course, he knew what he should do. As soon as Yin Xiaozong made the arrangement, his phone rang again. When he saw that it was a call from Third Master Wu, he frowned slightly. He had thought that the news had spread so fast that Third Master Wu knew it in such a short time. In other words, Third Master Wu wanted to ask the Yin family to come forward and negotiate with the old monk. If it was the latter, Yin Xiaozong could only apologize to Third Master Wu. Something had happened to his second uncle. The Yin family could do nothing about it at the moment. After all, the Yin family was in a mess now. Unfortunately, Yin Xiaozong guessed wrong. It was not one of the two possibilities he had guessed. It was something else. It was something even more unexpected and shocking. That was, Xue Ku and Gu Yongning were seriously injured and sent to the hospital. Now, their life and death were still unknown. Yin Xiaozong felt his blood freeze. Two shocking events had happened in one night. Both of them were seriously injured and sent to the hospital. Yin Xiaozong would not believe that there was nothing fishy about it. Yin Xiaozong almost subconsciously thought that Qin Sheng must be the murderer behind the scenes. Otherwise, how could he connect the two events together? Was Qin Sheng out his mind? Yin Xiaozong could not help roaring in his heart. If it was only one event, Yin Xiaozong might guess that it was done by someone else. However, two events happened at the same time, and they were so similar. Yin Xiaozong had no choice but to think that it was done by Qin Sheng. However, Qin Sheng attacked the Yin family, the Xue family, and the Gu family at the same time, and he did it so ruthlessly. Was Qin Sheng really not afraid of a storm-like counterattack? The Qin family was already in such a worrying situation. Qin Sheng was really not afraid that this would be the last straw to break the Qin family's back. Qin Sheng, you have guts. No matter what, Yin Xiaozong did not expect that Qin Sheng dared to be so crazy. It also taught Yin Xiaozong a hard lesson. Third Master Wu found that Yin Xiaozong did not speak for a long time. He thought that Yin Xiaozong was guessing who was more likely to do it. However, after a long time, Yin Xiaozong still did not speak. Finally, Third Master Wu could not help but call him a few times. Then, Yin Xiaozong came to his senses. Third Master Wu said on the phone that he got the news from the Xue family, and the Xue family contacted him directly. After Third Master Wu left, Xue Ku's eldest uncle directly questioned him in an unkind tone. Although Third Master Wu dared to put on airs in front of Xue Ku and Gu Yongning, he did not dare to put on airs in front of that big shot. Thus, he had no choice but to reply that he would inquire about what was going on right away. After hanging up the phone, Third Master Wu immediately called Yin Xiaozong to discuss what on earth had happened. After all, they were allies. If something went wrong, Third Master Wu could not bear the responsibility alone. However, after Yin Chaozong came to his senses, he told Third Master Wu that his second uncle also had an accident tonight. In particular, he was in the hospital now, and his second uncle was in emergency treatment. After Yin Chaozong said that, it was Third Master Wu who did not speak for a long time. Yin Chaozong had no time to care about this now. He directly hung up the phone and sat in the hospital's lounge alone. He thought about the ins and outs of the whole thing and what might happen next. After Qin Sheng came back from Hangzhou, the calm sea suddenly became stormy. All of this was not a coincidence. Of course, they could only blame themselves for attacking Bao Fan and making Qin Sheng completely lose his temper. Standing beside Third Master Wu, Chu Xikong found that Third Master Wu rarely acted like this. He could not help but ask, "Third Master, what's wrong?" At this moment, Third Master Wu was also deep in thought. First, the old monk suddenly made things difficult for him. He had no time to take care of Shanghai because of the fire in his backyard. He could only transfer human resources back to Zhejiang. Then tonight, Yin Chaozong, Xue Ku, and Gu Yoning had accidents at the same time. It could be said that everyone was shocked. These things happened one after another, so he had no choice but to think more. Qin Sheng. There was no one else except Qin Sheng. It must be Qin Sheng. Otherwise, how could there be such a coincidence? Third Master Wu and Yin Chaozong had the same thought. That was, why did Qin Sheng suddenly dare to be so unscrupulous? Where did he get his confidence and strength? Was he really not afraid of Qin Sheng? Third Master Wu muttered to himself, "Xikong, we might have chosen the wrong side." This was what he was most worried about. If they really chose the wrong side, they would definitely pay a heavy price. After all, he had offended Qin Sheng before. What should he do next? Third Master Wu had to reconsider. He had to go all the way. No matter what the result would be, he would be tied to the Yin family, the Xue family, and the Gu family. The other choice was to stop the loss in time and reconcile with Qin Sheng. No matter what the price was, he would not hesitate to offend the Yin family, the Xue family, and the Gu family. Why did he think so? Because Third Master Wu did not think that what happened tonight was only Qin Sheng's idea. He did not believe that there was no intention of the Qin family behind Qin Sheng. If the Qin family did not express their opinion, would Qin Sheng have the courage to do so? If it was really the Qin family's intention, it meant that the Qin family might have already passed the crisis. That was why they dared to fight back so strongly. Third Master Wu dared not make a decision casually. He wanted to wait and see how the Yin family, the Xue family, and the Gu family would respond. He also wanted to see the situation clearly. Anyway, what Third Master Wu could be sure of was that the situation would be very clear in the future. Perhaps even Qin Sheng did not know that Third Master Wu had guessed some things correctly by a freak combination of factors. For example, this time, the Qin family did express their opinion. The Qin family's opinion was naturally Qin Chang'an's opinion. When Qin Sheng was about to do this, Bao Fan had already told Qin Chang'an about Qin Sheng's plan. He had to let Qin Chang'an check it. Otherwise, if he really made a mistake, Bao Fan would not be able to clean up Qin Sheng's mess. If Qin Chang'an stopped him, Bao Fan would also tell Qin Chang'an about Qin Chang'an's intention. However, Qin Chang'an did not stop him. This was interesting. Reading at midnight. Chapter 753. Everyone's reaction to the relationship between Qin Sheng and Qin Chang'an was wonderful. Most of the things were not communicated directly, but conveyed by others. For example, Qin Ran played this role most of the time, while Bao Fan was in charge of the things in Shanghai. This was also one of the reasons why Bao Fan was so important. Qin Chang'an never interfered with what Qin Sheng should do. This was Qin Sheng's freedom and ability to decide. As long as Qin Sheng dared to make trouble, as long as it was within the scope of his ability, Qin Chang'an could handle it. Unless it was beyond the scope, Qin Chang'an would ask Bao Fan to inform Qin Sheng to stop. It was a pity that what Qin Sheng did this time was not beyond Qin Chang'an's scope, so Qin Chang'an did not stop him. Wasn't it just the Yin family, the Shui family, and the Gu family? It was such a big deal. 2 years ago, when the Qin family was at its peak, it was so glorious. It did not care about these people at all, and they did not dare to challenge the Qin family at all. Now, when a tiger fell into a plane, it was bullied by a dog. With the support of those big shots behind them, did Qin Sheng think he could humiliate the Qin family at will? He really thought too highly of himself, and the forces behind him too highly. Therefore, when Qin Chang'an did what Qin Sheng did tonight, he not only did not stop him, but also praised him in his heart. This was the descendant of the Qin family, and this was the boldness of the descendant of the Qin family. This night was indeed a little chaotic. Qin Sheng's sudden counterattack disrupted the rhythm of many people, which made many people start to guess randomly, including Third Master Wu and the Yin family. After the two rich playboys got into trouble, the Shui family and the Gu family immediately sent people to Shanghai to solve the problem. At the same time, the Shui family had contacted the forces behind them to discuss the possible impact of this matter and the situation of the Qin family. In this way, they could determine what they should do in Shanghai. This night passed just like this. This night, many people did not fall asleep. Our initiator, holding his wife, slept like a log. He did not get up until 8 o'clock to go to the company, and at the same time, he waited for the attitude of all parties. As for Chang Baji and Yang Dainiu, they came back after finishing their work last night. Qin Sheng asked them to take a rest for 2 days first. They did not need to show up in public these 2 days. However, Bao Fan might have to work hard. He had to help Qin Sheng keep an eye on the whole situation so that he could react at any time. At dawn, Third Master Wu, who had stayed in Hangzhou for many days, quietly left Shanghai and returned to Hangzhou with Chu Xikong, Yang Deng, and the others because of the old monk. Another reason why Third Master Wu did so was naturally to avoid the limelight in Shanghai. He would make a decision when the situation was a little clearer. All in all, Third Master Wu slightly regretted the decision he had made on impulse at that time. He had taken going back to Shanghai too seriously. He had refused Qin Sheng directly and had chosen the Yin family instead. At that time, I should have thought about it carefully and put aside the factor of Shanghai to make a compromise. This is the best move. But now, I have fallen into a dilemma. It really shouldn't be. It had to be said that the old monk's sudden revolt had completely disrupted all the plans of Third Master Wu. Even if Third Master Wu wanted to make trouble, he would not be able to. In a hospital in downtown Shanghai, Shueku and Gu Yongning's operations had already ended. Their lives were not in danger, but they needed to rest in bed for more than half a year. In particular, both of them had broken their calves. It was rather slow. The Shui family had sent Shueku's cousin, who was more promising than Shueku. Now, he was already a divisional cadre with real power in a certain ministry. The Gu family had sent Gu Yongning's biological sister, who was now the managing director of the Gu family group. It should be known that even Gu Yongning was not qualified to enter the board of directors. It could be seen how powerful this strong woman was. The operation that had lasted for 10 hours was finally over. Not only were the doctors and nurses exhausted, but also the people waiting outside were exhausted. Gu Yongning's sister was called Guyu. Now she was nearly 40 years old, but she looked 27 or 28 years old. In today's society, as long as one was willing to spend money to maintain one's looks, let alone 40 years old. Even 70 years old looked like 40 years old. Guyu was dressed in a Givenchy suit. She looked like a rich lady from the inside to the outside. She was covered with jewels, and any piece of jewelry was a limited edition worth tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of yuan. The Gu family was really rich. Guyu loved her brother very much. Such a big thing had happened to her brother, which made her heart feel like it was being cut by a knife. She was absent-minded all night. It was not until the operation was over and the doctor said that Guyu's life was not in danger that she was completely relieved. Compared with Guyu, Shuek, his cousin, Shui Ping, was relatively calm. He had long known his cousin's style of doing things. Sooner or later, something bad would happen to him. He deserved it. After daybreak, Guyu asked with a pale face, "What did your family say?" "As long as he's fine, we'll talk about the rest later," Xue Ping glanced at this attractive young woman and said casually. He did not take her seriously just because she was the daughter of the Gu family. Gu Yu, who was good-looking and knew how to maintain herself and tidy up, thought she was a beauty. However, from last night until now, Xue Ping had not looked her in the eyes for a few times, which made Gu Yu feel somewhat disappointed. Which woman was not like this? Just let it go? Gu Yu sneered. Xue Ping did not want to say too much. Although the Xue family and the Gu family had a good relationship, he did not have much contact with Gu Yu. They only met a few times when the two families visited each other. After all, Xue Ping's ambition was to become an official. In fact, he did not want to get involved in such disputes. Xue Ping said without raising his head, "Wait for the results of the police's investigation. It seems that they provoked us first. They can't blame others." Xue Ping was not here for revenge. His father only asked him to come here to stabilize the situation. Therefore, Xue Ping did not want to worry too much. As for the Gu family, they completely followed the Xue family's lead. Of course, Gu Yu would discuss with Xue how to deal with this matter, but Xue Ping's attitude was like this. "You believe it? Don't you know what they are doing in Shanghai? Xue Ping, are you afraid of the Qin family?" Since Xue Ping's attitude was like this, Gu did not care about her face anymore. She said in a strange tone. At this time, Xue Ping raised his head and said, "Okay, then tell me what to do first." Okay. Xue Ping, you are really interesting. I finally know you," Gu Yu said in an unfriendly tone. After that, Gu Yu directly left the hospital. As for the hospital, of course, she had arranged everything. If there was any news, they would inform her as soon as possible. Of course, she would not let it go so easily. In the private hospital in Xishan, second Uncle Yan's surgery had already ended. Compared with Xue and Gu Yongning's injuries, second Uncle Yan's injuries were slightly lighter. Second Uncle's injuries were slightly lighter. He only had a few broken ribs, but he still needed to recuperate for a long time. As for how to release the news to the public, Yin Xiaozong and several people in charge of the Yin family had discussed. They would say that second uncle's old illness relapsed, and he needed to rest for a period of time in the hospital. All the affairs of the company would be handled by the managing director, Yin Xiaozong. Yin Xiaozong did not sleep all night. He had been thinking about the deeper meaning behind this matter, and so on. He had asked Hulan to come back. There was no need for him to find out who the murderer was. He really could not think of anyone else except Qin Sheng. Should he ask Hulan to directly bring people to kill Qin Sheng? Yin Xiaozong already knew that the Xue family and the Gu family had sent people to Shanghai. However, he did not take the initiative to contact them. He was waiting for the Xue family and the Gu family to come to him. He wanted to see how the Xue family and the Gu family would respond to this matter. This was the real time to test their relationship as allies. Although Yin Xiaozong was in charge of the affairs of the company now, he did not need to worry about it all. After all, the management would deal with the affairs. In the end, he might only need to show up for a few things. However, Yin Xiaozong had to worry about other things. Fortunately, Hulan and Feng, he could cooperate with him. The news of second uncle's accident was still being blocked. Except for those who should know, no one else knew about it. If it became known to the public, the Yin family would be in a difficult position. Taking a step back, although his grandfather asked him to deal with this matter, second uncle's life was not in danger. He would wake up in a few days. Yin Xiaozong dared not make a decision rashly. He had to discuss the countermeasures after second uncle woke up. Therefore, no matter whether it was the Xue family, the Gu family, or the Yin family, it would be very peaceful during this period. However, the more peaceful it was, the more turbulent it would be later. In the lounge of the private hospital, Hulan walked in with Feng He. Feng He reported truthfully, "Young master, I have asked Qian Tong and his apprentices to protect the old master in Xishan. I have also arranged 4 bodyguards for your parents. Do you have any other arrangements?" Yin Xiaozong said casually, "Okay, I got it. I don't need others." Feng He continued, "In addition, I have received news that third master Wu left Shanghai for Hangzhou with his people this morning. I don't think he will return to Shanghai in a short time." Yin Xiaozong was silent for a while. Then he sneered and said, "This old fox is really cunning." He chose to leave Shanghai at this time. It seems that he is in a hurry to go back to deal with the old monk. In fact, he wants to avoid the limelight. He is really an old fox, sitting on a mountain and watching the tigers fight. Although Third Master Wu had done this, Yin Chaozong could not do anything to him. After all, Third Master Wu had a reasonable reason. Therefore, Yin Chaozong did not care about him now. Moreover, in a short time, the Yin family, the Shui family, and the Gu family should not make any big moves. After Yin Chaozong finished talking about these two official matters, he arranged another task for Feng He and Hulan, which was to keep a close eye on Qin Sheng. He needed to know all of Qin Sheng's movements, such as where he had gone, who he had met, and so on. This was related to the judgment of many things that would happen in the future. When Feng He and Hulan were about to leave, a bodyguard of the Yin family suddenly knocked on the door and came in to report, "Young master, there's a lady outside who wants to see you. She said her name is Gu Yu, Gu Yongning's elder sister. Would you like to see her?" Yin Chaozong's eyes lit up when he heard the name. He didn't expect the other side to react so quickly. Reading at midnight. Chapter 754. It was a surprise Third Master Wu went back to Hangzhou. The Shui family chose to keep silent for the time being. The Yin family was waiting for second uncle Yin to wake up. Only the Gu family could not wait any longer. Maybe Gu Yu loved her younger brother so much that she was so eager to vent her anger. Of course, Yin Chaozong did not know the attitude of the Shui family. He thought that the Shui family and the Gu family had the same attitude, and that Gu Yu represented the attitude of the Shui family and the Gu family. Therefore, he was quite happy to hear that the Gu family came to see him. After Yin Chaozong nodded in agreement, it didn't take long for the bodyguards to lead Gu Yu into the lounge. The two bodyguards of the Gu family were stopped outside. Gu Yu frowned slightly, but she wasn't angry. She signaled them to stay outside. She walked into the lounge with elegant steps, but it seemed that she was 1,000 miles away from people. All the people from old Beijing were like this. It did not occur to Yin Chaozong that the one who came in would be a beautiful woman who looked very attractive. The way she walked really made men's imagination run wild. It turned out that Gu Yongning had such a sister. However, Yin Chaozong was not an animal who thought about life with the lower half of his body. He stood up naturally and greeted her. "It did not occur to me that Miss Gu would come to visit me in person. It is really surprising." Gu Yu's face was cold. It seemed that she did not take Yin Chaozong seriously. Seeing that there were other people in the lounge, she stared at them unhappily. Her meaning was quite obvious. Yin Chaozong waved his hand to signal Hulan and Feng He to go out first. It was obvious that Gu Yu had something to say to him. Of course, he was willing to talk. After everyone left, only Gu Yu and Yin Chaozong were left in the lounge. Gu Yu walked around the lounge twice in her high heels. The sound of her high heels clacking was very rhythmic. It seemed that she was not in a hurry to talk. Yin Chaozong also held the bag very firmly. "If you don't speak, I won't speak either. Let's see who can't hold back first." Since he had nothing to do, he sized up this beautiful young married woman. That coiled hair made her very elegant, and her figure was even more graceful and stylish. Even the way she carried the bag was very unique. As for those clothes and jewelry, Yin Chaozong was not surprised at all. The Gu family had the capital to do so. However, for some women, these clothes were a plus. For some women, these clothes would make them feel disgusted. It all depended on a woman's appearance and temperament. Tut, tut, tut. I did not expect that you could still be so calm when such a big thing happened to the Yin family. Is it that you can't wait to take over? As the director of the Gu family, Gu Yu could hold such a key position. She was very capable. What's more, she was a woman. Therefore, Gu Yu knew how to confront Yin Chaozong. It was the same for Yin Chaozong. Both of their positions in the clan were similar. However, Yin Chaozong was the future successor of the Yin clan, while Gu Yu was just a woman. No matter how powerful she was, she could only assist Gu Yongning. I didn't expect that Miss Gu would come to Shi Mountain to tease me, instead of taking care of her brother in the hospital after such a big incident in the Gu family. Yin Chaozong responded tit for tat. Yin Chaozong liked beautiful women, but he didn't like this kind of strong woman. Unless her performance in bed satisfied him enough, this kind of woman was really boring. Guyu found a random seat and sat down. She crossed her legs elegantly and placed her hands on her thighs. She snorted and said, "I'm willing to come to you because I care about this brother. Otherwise, do you think I would be in a mood?" "Oh, if that's the case, Miss Gu, don't keep me guessing. It's too tiring. Why don't you just tell me what you were here for?" Yin Chaozong shook his head and smiled bitterly. Gu Yu said, "The Qin family is so unscrupulous, and the Yin family is going to swallow their anger. Don't you want to get revenge on your second uncle?" Yin Chaozong asked. "Miss Gu, how do you know that the Qin family did this?" "Yin Chaozong, I thought you were pretty good. Unfortunately, you've disappointed me. It turns out that the Yin clan is also a bunch of cowards. The head of the Yin clan has been injured and hospitalized, yet the Yin clan doesn't even dare to let out a fart. And here I thought that the Yin clan was very powerful," Gu Yu said sarcastically. She was good at saying such sarcastic and unkind words. Yin Chaozong was calm. He did not need to quarrel with a woman. Women were born with an advantage. Gu Yu took the initiative to look for him. It meant that the Gu family could not sit still anymore. "You are asking me how I know it was the Qin family? Other than the Qin family, who do you think would dare to do this? Do you think it is a coincidence that all three of our families got into trouble at the same time? If it is not the Qin family, then tell me who." Gu Yu's voice was very loud. She was almost questioning Yin Chaozong. Yin Chaozong said calmly, "Oh, even if it was the Qin family, what about me? The Qin family is far away in Beijing. Even if the Yin family wants to attack the Qin family, it is beyond our reach. The Qin family only has one Qin Sheng in Shanghai. Should I send someone to kill Qin Sheng now? Do you know who Qin Sheng's youngest uncle is? If the Yin family does anything to Qin Sheng in Shanghai, how can we stay in Shanghai in the future?" Gu Yu was speechless. Moreover, what Yin Chaozong said was the truth. He had thought everything through last night. That was why he did not dare to act rashly. At this time, Yin Chaozong finally understood. He guessed that it was Gu Yu who came to find him today. It was definitely not the intention of the Gu family or the Shui family. They were not so impulsive, nor would they be so stupid, because things are not so simple. Yin Chaozong could understand. He guessed that Gu Yu loved her brother so much that she was so straightforward. He smiled and said, "Miss Gu, I guess you must have looked for the Shui family. The Shui family refused you, so you came to look for the Yin family. You thought that the Yin family is the local tyrant in Shanghai, and such a big thing happened, they would definitely respond, right? If you had come to me directly last night, I might have sent someone to kill Qin Sheng without hesitation. But now I've thought it through. These things are beyond our ability. We need the elders of several families to come up with a plan. So before my second uncle wakes up, I won't act rashly at all. So, Miss Gu, I am sorry that you came here in vain today." Gu Yu really looked down on Yin Chaozong. After hearing what Yin Chaozong said, Gu Yu was so angry that she directly exploded. She stood up without hesitation and pointed at Yin Chaozong. "Yin Chaozong, you are a coward. You disappoint me. The Yin family is just SOSO. Yin Chaozong laughed and said, "Miss Gu, actually you are quite beautiful when you are angry. I wonder if anyone has told you that?" Yin Chaozong teased Gu Yu like this, which added fuel to the fire. She snorted and said, "Yin Chaozong, remember this. There will be a day when the Yin family will look for the Gu family. I hope you can still sit still when the time comes." After saying that, Gu Yu was about to turn around and leave. Yin Chaozong shouted, "Miss Gu, wait. I still have something to say to you. If you have something to say it quickly. I don't have time to play with you." Gu Yu sneered. Maybe she was too angry. Her chest was undulating, but it became a scenery. After all, it was summer. Yin Chaozong walked over slowly and said with a smile, "First of all, even if the Yin family looks for the Gu family, we will definitely not look for you. Moreover, compared to the Gu family, the Yin family is more likely to look for the Shui family. Taking a step back, is this all the Yin clan has? Secondly, I hope that Miss Gu can calm down and not be blinded by hatred. I did the same last night. But now the three families are one. A slight move in one part will affect the whole, so we have to be careful. Finally, I think you should go back and ask the young master of the Shui family why he is so calm. Think about it. Why did Third Master Wu suddenly leave Shanghai? When a situation isn't clear, it's better for us to be careful. It won't be too late for us to take revenge after the elders have a discussion. I'm done speaking. Whether Miss Gu listens to me or not is up to you. If Miss Gu really wants to do things her own way, we will not stop her. That's it. Gu suddenly smiled at Yin Chaozong. Her smile was very tempting. Yin Chaozong was stunned. He did not know what Gu was going to do, but he still said calmly, "That's it. But Miss Gu, you can rest assured that I will keep a close eye on all his movements in Shanghai. If I really want to do something to him, I will not let you down." Gu did not say anything. She just glanced at Yin Chaozong and left the lounge, leaving a creepy smile. She was ready to go back to the city directly. After witnessing Shui Ping's indifference and experiencing Yin Chaozong's calmness, Gu also calmed down. No wonder her father told her before coming to Shanghai that she should communicate with him in time for everything. It seemed that she was indeed a little bit not calm this time. After Gu left, Yin Chaozong muttered to himself, "No wonder the Gu family is getting weaker and weaker than the Shui family. She dares to come to Shanghai with such little ability, and she is even a woman. What a joke." After Qin Sheng finished his work in the morning, Bao Fan came to the company to look for him. Chang Baji and Yang Daniyu went home to rest. After all, they had worked hard last night. This was Qin Sheng's biggest move in Shanghai, which was even riskier than killing Gu Xiaobo. In the office, Qin Sheng asked straightforwardly, how did they react? Bao Fan reported truthfully. Last night, the Yin family used a lot of manpower and resources to track down the murderer. But then they suddenly died out inexplicably. There was no movement at all. Yin Chaozong stayed in the private hospital in Xishan the whole night. The Shui family and the Gu family have sent people to Shanghai. The one sent by the Shui family is Shui Ping, Shui's cousin, who is now a director in the Ministry of Commerce. The one sent by the Gu family is Gu Yongning's sister, who is now the CEO of the Gu family group. They all stayed in the hospital last night. There was no movement until this morning. Shui Ping went back to the hotel to rest, and Gu Yu went to the private hospital in Xishan. She should have met Yin Chaozong. I don't know the details. The Shui family and the Gu family only sent these two people here? It's a bit unexpected. Qin Sheng was very surprised. He thought that the reaction should be very big, but it was just a splash. Even the Yin family was the same. Did they get advice from a master? Bao Fan said thoughtfully, "This is just the beginning. The calmer it is at the beginning, the more terrible it will be later." "Well, I know that." Qin Sheng nodded slightly. Bao Fan followed and said, "There is one more thing. After Third Master Wu learned what happened last night, he went back to Hangzhou with his trusted subordinates after dawn." Qin Sheng muttered to himself, "He is indeed an old fox. But I didn't expect that there would be such a surprise. He actually made Third Master Wu leave Hangzhou. You can inform Wu Yongchuan and see how his plan is going. If it is almost ready, we should also prepare for it." Bao Fan said in a deep voice, "I will inform him now." Since these families did not respond, let's deal with Third Master Wu first, Qin Sheng said with a gloomy look. This was the revenge he deserved. Reading at midnight. Chapter 755. To go or not to go, Qin Sheng and Yin Chaozong guessed that Third Master Wu would leave Shanghai and return to Hangzhou. There was a reason why this old fox could get to where he was now. At least his instinct to avoid danger was very accurate. He realized that the situation in Shanghai was not clear, so he returned to Hangzhou first and settled for the second best. After all, he had a reasonable explanation and the other families could not do anything to him. However, Third Master Wu definitely did not expect that Qin Sheng was eager for him to leave Shanghai. If he stayed in the old villa every day, Qin Sheng really could not do anything to him. But if he went back to Hangzhou or Mount Putuo, Qin Sheng would have a way to deal with him. Now, what Qin Shi wanted most was that Third Master Wu went back to the independent courtyard in Mount Putuo as soon as possible. In this way, Qin Shi could mobilize enough people to deal with him and let him stay in Mount Putuo forever. It could be regarded as solving the problem. However, Qin Shi also knew that Third Master Wu would definitely not go back in a short time. At least, he would not be willing to go back until he solved the big problem, or he hoped to go back to the Bund after that. Therefore, Qin Shi needed to see Wu Yongchuan's ability now. Qin Shi had drawn a big pie for Wu Yongchuan. If Wu Yongchuan wanted to eat it, he must show enough sincerity and strength. Otherwise, why would Qin Shi give it to him? Jing, and as the earliest and the most prosperous place in Shanghai, had always been at the top of the chain of disdain among the districts in Shanghai. Even the now prosperous Pudong had never been taken seriously, because Jing had this background. She had always been the real rich lady of Shanghai. Therefore, the earliest rich district in Shanghai was in Jing. At that time, almost all the tycoons who first got rich had a villa or a foreign-style house in Jing, and including Jiang Xianbang, Third Master Wu, and Wu Yongchuan's father. Because of this, when Jing was about to merge into the sluice gate, there was a strong voice of opposition, especially those old Shanghai people. They all felt that it was like a rich young lady of Shanghai marrying a poor boy. One was the richest district in Shanghai in the past, and the other was the poorest district in Shanghai. One could imagine, although Wu Yongchuan did not have a high social status now, the Wu family had been a rich and powerful family in the past. They had accumulated a lot of wealth. Consequently, the Wu family's old foreign-style house was much bigger than Third Master Wu's. Besides his wife and children, his old mother also lived here. However, his mother had devoted herself to Buddhism these years and seldom left the old foreign-style house. Today, after his mother paid her respects to the Buddha, Wu Yongchuan took the initiative to chat with his mother. As they chatted, he sighed and said, "Mom, I often dream about my father recently. So many years have passed. I don't know how he is doing over there. We haven't seen him for a long time." Wu Yongchuan's hometown was also in Zhejiang, not far from Shanghai. It was the famous Haining of Jiaxing, which was bordered by Hangzhou to the west and Qiantang River to the south. The name Haining began in the second year of Yongding of Emperor Chun of the Southern Dynasty, and it had the meaning of the tranquility of the sea. The famous scenic spot Qiantang River Tide had been popular since the Tang and Song dynasties and was famous both at home and abroad. The tide on August 18th is the most spectacular in the world. Until now, it still attracted guests from all over the world to see the wonderful view of the tide. There was a lot of history about Haining. Since the Ming and Qing dynasties, there had been too many talented people here. For example, when Qianlong visited Jiangnan 6 times, he stayed with the Chun family in Haining 4 times. There was also the famous Jiang family in modern times. Haining was also known as the home of talented people. Moreover, Haining was also known as the hometown of talented people. Consequently, the families and clans in Haining were very powerful, and the relationships between the families were also very close. It was normal for them to unite by marriage. The Wu family had been a well-known family in Haining in those days. There were also many relatives in the family who had made some achievements. Many of them had even gone abroad to spread their families. Therefore, the reason why Wu Yongchuan's father could make a name for himself in Shanghai in such a short time was mostly because of the help of his relatives and friends who contributed money and manpower. Of course, Wu Yongchuan's father's own ability was indispensable. In fact, this kind of family relationship was very common in coastal provinces and cities. After all, it was easy to get in touch with the outside world because of the geographical advantage. Although Wu Yongchuan had no status with Third Master Wu, he was still a little famous in the whole Wu family. At least in the Bund, Wu Yongchuan lived a much more comfortable life than many people. When Wu Yongchuan's father passed away and was buried in Haining, it could be said that it was the most glorious time for the Wu family. Many families were envious of that scene. In the past, Wu Yongchuan almost had the opportunity to surpass his father's peak. As long as he succeeded in betraying Third Master Wu, he would become the current third Master Wu. Thinking of third Master Wu's current status, one could understand why Wu Yongchuan had been so regretful all these years. Now, Wu Yongchuan felt that his opportunity had come. As long as he grasped this opportunity, it was very likely that he would create another glory. At that time, he would definitely surpass his father and become the most successful man in the whole Wu family in the past decades. However, this time, Wu Yongchuan had to trouble his father again. He hoped that his father would not blame him. Moreover, he could not be blamed. Wu Yongchuan's mother was already over 70 years old. She had a sister in the United States. She only came back once or twice a year. Therefore, it was almost Wu Yongchuan who took care of his mother. After Wu Yongchuan's mother heard this, she said sadly, "Hey, I often think of your father. We haven't visited him for a long time. You're usually busy. I don't want to trouble you too much." Wu Yongchuan felt a little guilty as he said, "Mom, I'm not filial to you. If you miss my dad, just tell me. I'll definitely take you to see him." Then he said, "Hey, Mom, do you think my dad is complaining that we don't go to see him? That's why he came to me in my dreams these few days. Or is it because my father is not living a good life over there?" The more Wu Yongchuan said in this way, the sadder his mother was. Her tears had already flowed out. This was how people were when they were old. They were easily emotional and sad. Wu Yongchuan's mother wiped her tears and said, "We are sorry to your father." At this moment, Wu Yongchuan really felt a little guilty. He had never thought of taking advantage of his mother and his father, who had passed away many years ago. He often thought that if his father had not passed away, how glorious the Wu family would have been now. What was Third Master Wu? He would not have become Third Master Wu's adopted son. He would not have been ignored and neglected today. He should have been the master of the Wu family. However, it was just a thought. After all, it would not happen again. If he wanted to restore the glory of the Wu family in the past, he could only rely on his own efforts. As long as he seized the opportunity, it would be fine. Now the opportunity finally came. Wu Yongchuan thought about it carefully. He said, "Mom, how about this? We could take some time to go back to see my father. We can also live in the ancestral house for a few days to accompany my father. I will also invite the senior monks of the nearby temples to perform a religious rite for my father. In this way, we will be relieved." As soon as Wu Yongchuan said this, his mother almost agreed without hesitation. Okay. Good boy. You are still thinking about your father. Your sister is heartless. She only comes back a few times a year. It is impossible for her to miss your father. Mom, my sister is in the United States after all. She also has her own family. In addition, she is busy with work. It is normal that she cannot come back. Don't blame her. You have me, don't you?" Wu Yongchuan helped his sister to explain. Nowadays, his feelings for his sister were getting weaker and weaker. Instead, he liked his two nephews. Unfortunately, they both stayed in the United States. He did not know what was good about the United States. Wu Yongchuan's mother sighed and said, You only know how to put in a good word for that heartless girl." Wu Yongchuan hesitated for a while and said, "Mom, how about we also call my foster father? Back then, my father appreciated him the most. He was closer to him than to me, his own son. I guess my father also misses him. It happens that my foster father has a lot of troubles these days. Let's take it as a way to relax. You can also tell my foster father that he is so old and should rest. He will listen to you. Does your foster father have time?" Of course, Wu Yongchuan's mother knew that Third Master Wu was no longer the little Wu in the past. She was afraid that Third Master Wu would be too busy and would cause trouble for him. Wu Yongchuan said with a smile, "As long as you say this, my foster father will definitely come. Also, Mom, I hope you can talk to my adoptive father again. I was indeed in the wrong in the past. I've been reflecting on it all these years. Now, I really want to help my adoptive father, but he still doesn't believe me. It's becoming a sore point for me." After Wu Yongchuan's mother heard this and saw that her son was so sad, she let out a long sigh and said, "Alas, I will try again. I also hope that you can make up with each other." Wu Yongchuan was overjoyed when he heard this. His foster father could ignore anyone's words, but his mother's words had always been on his mind. When he had been in Shanghai in the past, his father and mother had treated him very well. His mother had even treated him like a younger brother. Consequently, Third Master Wu would call his mother every few days. This time, when he returned to Shanghai, he came to see his mother as soon as possible. Moreover, Third Master Wu owed the Wu family. Without the Wu family, there would be no Third Master Wu today. Wu Yongchuan said respectfully, "Mom, I will go and do this right now. When everything in Haining's hometown is ready, I will tell you at that time." His mother nodded. She did not worry about these things at all. She believed that her son could handle these things well. He was quite capable. After leaving his mother's Buddha hall, Wu Yongchuan was very excited. Finally, the opportunity that he had been waiting for came. He could not wait any longer. However, he forced himself to calm down and could not give himself away. This time, he would not make the same mistake. However, the only hidden danger now was whether his foster father would agree to go to Haining or not. If he did not go, everything would be meaningless. However, whether he would go or not, he had to give it a try. He had to do everything well first and then invite Third Master Wu. In this way, he would not be suspected. Since the plan had been made, Wu Yongchuan began to prepare. First, he set a small goal, such as bookseller's residence in 1 second. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.